A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, this I Believe. Here is Edward R. Murrow.
This I Believe. Thomas Mann, the great novelist, essayist, and philosopher, comes from a family of merchants. He was born in Lübeck, Germany, in 1875. Thomas Mann was a militant anti-fascist, and Hitler, of course, burned and banned his writings. He came to the United States in 1938, and now lives and works in Santa Monica, California. Thomas Mann reveals now his creed.
What I believe, what I value most, is transitoriness. But is not transitoriness, the perishableness of life, something very sad? No. It is the very soul of existence. It imparts value, dignity, interest to life. Transitoriness creates time, and time is the essence. Potentially at least, time is the supreme, most useful gift. Time is related to, yes, identical with everything creative and active, with every progress toward a higher goal. Without transitoriness, without beginning or end, birth or death, there is no time either. Timelessness, in the sense of time never ending, never beginning, is a stagnant nothing. It is absolutely uninteresting. Life is possessed by tremendous tenacity. Even so, its presence remains conditional, and as it had a beginning, so it will have an end. I believe that life, just for this reason, is exceedingly enhanced in value, in charm. One of the most important characteristics distinguishing man from all other forms of nature is his knowledge of transitoriness, of beginning and end, and therefore of the gift of time. In man, transitory life attains its peak of animation, of soul power, so to speak. This does not mean man alone would have a soul. Soul quality pervades all beings, but man's soul is most awake in his knowledge of the interchangeability of the terms existence and transitoriness. To man, time is given like a piece of land, as it were, entrusted to him for faithful tilling, a space in which to strive incessantly, achieve self-realization, move onward and upward. Yes, with the aid of time, man becomes capable of wresting the immortal from the mortal. Deep down, I believe, and deem such belief natural to every human soul, that in the universe prime significance must be attributed to this earth of ours. Deep down, I believe that the creation of the universe out of nothingness, and that of life out of inorganic state, ultimately aimed at the creation of man. I believe that man is meant as a great experiment, whose possible failure by man's own guilt would be paramount to the failure of creation itself. Whether this belief be true or not, man would be well advised if he behaved as though it were.
That was Nobel Prize winner Thomas Mann. His value of time, as everything that is creative and active, is perhaps one of the secrets of his own productive and creative life.
Casey. How are you coming along with that crossword puzzle?
Well, I'm stuck, Ethelbert, for a 7-letter name beginning with H, and it's a place in Ohio.
That's a tough one, Casey.
Not for me, boys, not for me.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, fellas. Yes, sir, the word you're looking for is hocking. Hockking. The Hocking Valley.
Hey, that fits. Hey, I get it. Anchor hockey.
Oh, you said it, Casey. Anchor Hocking, the world's largest makers of household glass. Prime Photographer, brought to you by Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, a great name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, The Red Raincoat.
Night, about 9:30. Rain. Hard, pelting rain that has driven people indoors and left the streets deserted. At the corner, a bus stops. A woman alights from it. She wears a red, hooded raincoat that covers her head and most of her face. She turns into a side street lined with cheap walk-up apartment houses. Midway of the block, she's about to pass the entrance to an alley when, from its darkness, there's a gunshot. Then another, and another. The woman falls. On the street, brakes are hastily applied to a cruising taxi. As it comes to a skidding halt, the driver...
Police! 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 Take cover!
I heard those shots. Where? From the alley, I think. I didn't see no one. Oh, this dame got it in the back. 3 bullet holes. Stay here, fellas. Don't let anybody touch her. I'm going to look in that alley. Get back, you people! Get back! This ain't a free show. There's been a murder here.
Push him back, Paletti, so I'll have room to shoot a picture.
I'm doing the best I can, Casey. Move, you folks, move!
That's better. There's one for page 1.
Now, that'll be all, Casey.
Well, look who's finally got here, my old pal Logan.
How often do I have to tell you that no press pictures are to be taken at the scene of a homicide until after the police photographers get through?
I've got a rotten memory, haven't I, chum?
By rights, I ought to take that camera away from you.
Oh, no, you wouldn't do that to me, not with all these people looking on.
What? Oh, not. You cops! Push this mob back. Clear the block so we'll have room to move around. Sergeant.
Yes, Captain.
Tell me what happened here.
I can tell you that, Logan.
Yeah?
The cab driver, that little guy over there, heard 3 shots fired from the alley here and saw this gal in the red raincoat fold up on the sidewalk.
Yeah?
A uniformed cop, this guy right here, heard the shots too, searched the alley and found nothing. Well, all the rest is up to you.
What does Doc's report show, Sergeant?
He said the woman was killed instantly, Captain. One of those bullet holes is in line with the heart. Of course, he can't be sure it followed that line through her body until she's turned over.
Now, don't do that when my tech men get through.
No, sir.
Anyone find out who the woman is?
Not yet, sir. When we can go through her pockets, we'll probably find something that'll...
And Williams is circulating through that crowd, Logan, trying to locate someone who might know... Say, here she comes now with a fat face.
Hello, Captain.
Hello, Miss Williams.
Casey, this lady thinks she recognizes the dead woman.
Well, that's swell, Andy. If you can identify her, lady, your picture will be in the paper.
Say, I happen to be in charge here.
Oh, excuse us, Logan.
Who do you think the dead woman is, lady?
Well, as I was just telling this young newspaper woman officer, I can't be sure because the poor thing is lying on her face. But I'm almost positive that's the body of Nora Gellhorn, because she had a red raincoat exactly like that. She's the only woman in this neighborhood who'd wear anything so flashy. And I've got a notion that a certain person wanted her out of the way.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
Well, her husband, officer, has been carrying on something disgraceful with another woman. Mrs. Gellhorn told me that herself. And she wasn't the sort who'd let a man divorce her just because he happened to fall in love with somebody else. So I think...
That her husband shot her?
Oh, I know it's an awful thing to say, mister, but from the goings-on I've heard about it, I think he's been planning to put her out of the way for a long time. As I was saying to my eldest daughter, Eloise, only last night...
Where do these Gellhorns live?
Oh, over there in the corner building on this side of the street. That's number 371, apartment 4C. I live in the apartment house next door. I'm Mrs. Patch. Mrs. Ida Patch. I said to my eldest daughter only last night
Excuse me, Mrs. Patch. Who's the other woman in this case? The one you say Gellhorn's been carrying on with?
Oh, her name's Randall. Emma Randall. She and her husband live in the same building as the Gellhorns. Their apartment's directly across from mine.
Hey, wait a minute. This Emma Randall has a husband?
Yeah, poor man. Hey, you know, he stands in the way of Ferris Gellhorn's plans, too, so if you policemen don't act fast and put that murderer behind bars...
We'll act fast, Mrs. Patch, if a checkup shows that your story is okay.
Oh, you'll find it's true, all right. I'm not the only person in this block who's been expecting a thing like this to happen.
Captain Logan.
Yes, Sergeant?
The photographers and tech men are finished. You can examine the body now.
Come on, Mrs. Patch. I want you to make your identification positive.
Oh, I hate to look at the poor thing. Oh, well, Captain, I know my duty.
Will you turn the body over, Doctor, so we can see the face? Thanks.
She wasn't a bad-looking gal, Annie.
Nope. Kind of pretty.
Oh.
Well, what's the matter, Mrs. Patch?
Wait. That isn't Nora Gellhorn.
It isn't?
No, that's Emma Randall.
The woman you said Gellhorn was in love with?
Yeah, but that's Nora Gellhorn's raincoat. I'm sure of it now that I see it close.
Since Mrs. Gellhorn isn't inside of it, you'll have to revise your theory. I guess you don't think Gellhorn would shoot the woman he's in love with.
No, he was crazy about Mrs. Randall. He wouldn't shoot her.
Too bad, Logan. For a few minutes it looked as though you had a sweet suspect in a case that was half sewed up.
Well, it may still be that way. Mrs. Patch, what kind of a guy is Randall, this dead woman's husband?
Well, he's a nice, quiet kind of
quiet
man.
kind,
yeah.
huh? Did he know about his wife and Gellhorn?
Oh, he must have. Everybody knew.
He sounds like the answer, Casey. This guy Randall stood all he could, then waited for his wife tonight and paid her off.
James Randall wouldn't do that. He couldn't have done it.
I'm afraid that's something you can't be sure of, lady.
But I am sure. Mr. Randall hasn't been outside of his apartment since early this evening. He was inside it when I heard shooting down here on the street.
How do you know he was inside?
Well, his living room window was just across the court from mine. One of his shades was up a few inches, and I saw him over there, lying on the couch.
You saw him?
Well, just by accident, of course. I never spy on my neighbors.
Well, that's that, Logan.
Yeah.
But there's another possible angle.
What?
That red raincoat. Mistaken identity.
Gellhorn may have thought he was shooting his wife.
That's it, Annie.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Mrs. Patch, you're sure this is Mrs. Gellhorn's raincoat?
Oh, I'm positive. I recognize it by those peculiar buttons and that little mended place on the right shoulder.
Well, have you any idea why Mrs. Randall should have been wearing it?
Well, I suppose Nora Gellhorn lent it to her.
Weren't they enemies?
Well, not outwardly. Like most jealous women, they made believe they were friends. Would have made things kind of difficult if they didn't, seeing as they not only lived in the same house, but worked in the same restaurant.
Worked in the same
restaurant? Yeah,
restaurant?
Harley's Grill. They're both waitresses there.
Do you know if Mrs. Gellhorn or her husband are home now?
No, I don't. Their windows aren't on my side of the house.
That's too bad.
Let's find out for ourselves, Logan.
We will, Casey. Sergeant, take charge here.
Yes, sir.
Have Martin take Mrs. Patch down to headquarters and get a complete deposition from her.
Oh, I'd much rather go with you, Captain.
You and the captain can get together later, Mrs. Patch, but I'll shoot that picture of you now.
For the paper, Mr. Casey?
The best paper in town.
Oh, goodness, I look just a fright in this old coat. On account of rain, I didn't get...
Fine clothes on you would only gild the lily.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
And now just stand just as you are. Hold that bewitching smile. That does it.
You want to take another?
If he does, he's staying here without me. Come on, Miss Williams.
I'll take more shots of you later, Mrs. Patch. Coming, Logan.
With prices mounting everywhere, here's a fact that's worth noting. Right now, on the shelves and counters of your favorite chain, variety hardware and department stores, you will find a wide variety of pale blue Fire King oven glass dishes at prices far lower than you would have paid for any baking dish a few years ago. And each piece of Fire King oven glass, regardless of price, is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Now is a good time to replace your worn-out kitchen utensils with new and beautiful, easy-to-clean and easy-to-keep clean Fire King oven glass. Remember that Fire King oven glass is not only a sturdy, dependable friend in the kitchen, it is also an adornment to your table. Fire King oven glass is a product of Anchor Hawking. A great name in glass.
Try to pull yourself together, Mr. Randall. I'm sorry we've had to bring you such rotten news. And my wife. Dead.
It's tough, fella.
Please let me go to her. I got to see her. Not now.
Later, pal.
Yeah, but she's lying down there in the street, you say, in the rain.
They'll have taken her away by now, Mr. Randall. You can go to her when you get a little more used to the idea of what you'll have to see.
Maybe that'll be better. Who killed her, Captain? Who shot my wife?
Well, we hope you may be able to help us find that out.
I don't know. I can't help you.
Before we came to you, we stopped at the Gellhorn's apartment. Nobody was home.
Why'd you stop there?
Well, we want to meet Mr. Gellhorn, especially. He a friend of yours?
He's a neighbor.
I see.
You've been talking to people, Captain. Someone's been telling you things.
Oh, frankly, yes. Randall, do you think...
No. Ferris Gellhorn would be the last man in the world who'd kill my wife.
That wasn't the question I meant to ask you. You think he's the sort who'd kill his own wife?
I don't know.
Now, when you let us in here, Mr. Randall, you said you'd been asleep.
Yeah, I was tired and I came home from work and I lay down on the couch there.
What time was that?
It was around 6:30, Mr. Casey. I slept until your knock at the door woke me up.
There was plenty of daylight when you fell asleep. Around 6:30, Mr. Randall. Why did you turn the electric lights on then?
The light?
Yeah. We saw a crack of light under the door before we knocked and woke you up.
Well, you see, when my wife was working late, Mr. Casey, I always turned the light on for her if I was going out or going to sleep. You see, she hated to come home to a dark apartment.
Will you keep your big mouth shut, Casey, and let me handle this?
It was a question we wanted answered, wasn't it?
Well, I'd have asked the question, and I'll check on the answer. Now, you attend to your job and let me attend to mine.
Okay, I'll take some pictures.
Now?
Well, Morning Express readers will want to know what the dead woman's apartment looks like. That'll be a good shot of this living room. Now I'll get one of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Mr. Randall, you must try to pull yourself together. You just must.
Yeah, I'll do my best, Miss Williams.
How long had you been married, Randall?
8 years.
When did you and your wife meet the Gellhorns?
Well, about 2 years ago, Captain.
What sort of a fellow is Gellhorn?
I hate the guys inside. He's a lousy wolf and a double crosser. But if you suspect him of her murder, I know you're wrong. He wanted her to live. He didn't want her dead.
This man sounds like a square shooter, Captain.
Yeah, he does, Miss Williams.
Check me down on that, too.
So you're back again, Casey.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to miss anything.
Who's there?
Plenty, Captain.
Come in.
We found Mrs. Gellhorn.
Oh, is this?
I'm Nora Gellhorn, Captain. This officer came to the restaurant for me. He told me why.
Sit down, Mrs. Gellhorn. I've got to ask you some questions.
Just a minute, please. Jim.
Yeah, Nora.
You know I didn't like your wife. I had plenty of reason not to, but... Now, I'm very sorry for you.
Thank you.
Now, Captain, what did you want to know?
Well, first, Mrs. Gellhorn, did you lend Mrs. Randall the raincoat she wore tonight?
Yes, I did. It was pouring when she got through work, and she didn't even have an umbrella with her. I was working late tonight in another girl's place, and I figured the rain had stopped by the time I finished, so I said take my coat.
And you remained at the restaurant after Mrs. Randall left there, Mrs. Gellhorn?
Yes, I did.
I checked, and Mrs. Gellhorn was in the restaurant when Mrs. Randall was shot, Captain.
Okay, Paletti.
Mrs. Gellhorn,
Yes,
you said you worked late tonight in another girl's place?
that's right.
And do you usually come home at the same time as Mrs. Randall?
Usually.
Did your husband expect you at the usual time tonight?
I guess so. I didn't bother to tell him. He doesn't care when I come home or if I come home.
That looks like the payoff, Casey.
Yeah.
You know where your husband is tonight, Mrs. Gellhorn?
He told me he was going to the movies.
What theater?
I don't know. You might find him at any of the neighborhood theaters, except the 4th Avenue. He went there last night to see Lost Holiday.
We'll pick him up. Sergeant Flanagan's posted guys at all the theaters around here, Captain. And that Mrs. Patch gave us a first-class description of Gellhorn.
So Mrs. Patch is the one who's been telling you cops things.
She told us nothing that you and Mr. Randall haven't verified, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Oh, all right, then. My husband has been two-timing both me and Jim Randall here. But if you've got an idea that he killed Emma, you're wrong.
I've told him that, Nora.
Well, Mrs. Gellhorn, do you think he'd have liked you out of the way and Randall here, so he and Mrs. Randall would be free to get married?
Well, Well, sure he'd have liked that, but I know that he wouldn't.
Come in.
We've got Gellhorn, sir.
I'm all ready for him, Sergeant.
He's downstairs. You want him brought up here?
Yeah, wait a minute. He hasn't been told anything.
Oh, not a word, sir.
Where'd you get him?
Coming out of the 4th Avenue Theater.
4th Avenue?
He said he'd seen the show there, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Well, I thought he had last night. I can't understand.
I can. Go into that bedroom, Mrs. Gellhorn.
Into the bedroom?
For just a few minutes. Close the door and don't come out till I call you. Then come out quick.
All right, I'll do it, but I don't see what...
Okay, Sergeant. Have Gellhorn brought up.
Yes, sir. The captain will see him up here, Pete. Come on.
The old surprise treatment for Gellhorn, Logan.
Yeah. His reaction when he sees his wife alive is all I need now.
Certainly looks as though...
Everything fits. Even the theater where they picked him up. He'd seen the picture there, so he could describe every part of it that was shown while he was waiting in that alley.
He went there after the shooting to establish an alibi.
Sure, Mr.
Sure he is, Captain.
Bring him in.
You don't have to, Joe.
I'm Captain Logan Gellhorn.
So you're the boss of these monkeys who've been putting a muscle on me. What's the big idea?
We're simply doing a little investigating, Mr. Gellhorn.
Investigating what? And why here? Randall, what's your part in this? Why have I been brought to his apartment?
I'll explain, Gellhorn, if you need an explanation after... Lady, come out of that bedroom. You in that bedroom, come out.
Nora.
Think you're looking at a ghost, Gellhorn?
What's my wife doing here?
She's the last person you expected to see, isn't she? You thought she was dead.
Well,
So wipe that phony look of innocence off your face. The woman who wore your wife's red raincoat tonight was Emma Randall.
Huh?
She's dead.
Emma's dead?
Yes, Gellhorn, with 3 bullets in her back that you put there.
I get it now, Captain. He mistook her for me in my raincoat.
He killed my wife. Let me at him. I'll tell him.
Take it easy, boys.
I'm done, Captain.
Before I get a picture.
What's this all about?
You know, Gellhorn. I'm arresting you on a charge of murder.
Me? Murder?
Got a shot of that, too.
All right, boys. Let's get him back to headquarters.
Well, you can't do this. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, come on, Casey. This case is all sewed up. Let's get our stuff to the paper.
Okay, Annie. But I wonder
What?
if this case is sewed up right.
After what you and Miss Williams have told me, Casey, I can't see any doubt of that fella Gellhorn's guiltiness.
There isn't any doubt, Ethelbert, except in Casey's much too active imagination.
Oh, Annie, you closed your mind like Logan.
Oh.
You two had so completely sold yourselves on Gellhorn's guilt before you saw him that nothing could unsell you. It didn't mean a thing to you, for instance, when Logan's big surprise act laid an egg.
Oh, that.
Gellhorn didn't act as if he was looking at a ghost when his wife stepped out of that bedroom.
Well, so what? He probably got a flash of Emma Randall's face after he shot her, realized the big mistake he made, and was all prepared.
Well, that's possible, yeah. You know, Mrs. Gellhorn took longer than she should have to come out of that bedroom. And then she looked more nervous than her husband. I'd like to know why.
Oh, Casey, you're trying to make something out of such little things.
The parts of the case fit too smoothly, Annie, as though they'd been oiled by somebody. But I can't figure it out. Oh, nuts.
You know, this Gellhorn business is a lot like another murder I read about. It happened over in England.
And that's the Haslington murder, yeah.
Haslington was the name of the gal who got shot. You know about it, huh?
Yeah, Ethelbert.
Oh, that's a famous old-timer, Ethelbert. Happened before any one of us were born.
It was all news to me when I read it a couple of months ago in a detective magazine. They called it The Case of the Sable Cloak.
Case of the Sable... Yeah, detective magazine would. Say, you know, I promised to show you those pictures I took last night that the paper didn't have space for.
Yeah, I'd like to see them.
Here's a print of the Randall living room. This is the bedroom, and here's Mrs. Patch.
And will she be sore because the picture didn't make the paper? She's the woman who gave us the lead on Gellhorn.
Ain't she a funny-looking old dame? Look at the...
Yes.
She's a dangerous old dame, I'll tell you. Say, wait a minute. Give me that picture I took of the bedroom.
What?
I noticed it before, but it didn't register. Look at the pillows on the bed.
Well, they're just pillows.
Yeah, but they're on top of the bedspread, uncovered.
I don't
Randall's alibi, Annie.
What?
And, now, wait a minute. Look at this picture of the living room. The window shades are pulled to within a few inches at the bottom. Now, that narrow space is all Mrs. Patch had to look through when she saw Randall lying on the couch.
What have pillows in the bedroom got to do
That's
with...
what I'd like to know.
Ethelbert, you say you read about the Haslington murder in a recent magazine. Was the magazine True Murder Chronicles?
Yeah, but it was
That
called
does
The
it.
Case of the Sable Cloak. What does it?
You've been a great help to me tonight, pal, and to Ferris Gellhorn.
I?
Come on, Annie. We're going to pay another call on Emma Randall's husband.
Well, okay, Casey, but I'd still like to know...
So would I. But what was the... Oh, they always do that to me.
Who's there?
Casey, Mr. Randall, and Miss Williams. May we come in? It's important.
Just a minute.
Casey, how are you going
You'll
to...
soon know, Annie. A door just closed inside there.
So what? I don't know why you haven't told me all you
I've
think.
been too busy thinking to tell you anything.
Okay.
Come in.
Thanks, Randall.
Sit down, Miss Williams.
Thank you.
Casey.
I'll rest on my feet, thanks.
What have you come to see me about?
New evidence in your wife's murder.
New evidence?
Yeah. Gellhorn didn't kill her.
What do you mean?
Say, it's awful stuffy in here. You mind if I lift this shade and raise the window a little?
Since you're already doing
Thanks. Randall, you ever read a story called The Case of the Sable Cloak?
No.
It's funny. It was published only a few months ago in True Murder Chronicles. And I noticed several issues of that magazine here last evening.
Well, those magazines belong to my wife. I never read them.
Oh, I see. Well, this particular story told about a rich Englishman who fell hard for a gal named Haslington. He wanted to marry her, but he had a wife. His wife owned a sable coat, and one night he shot and killed a woman who was wearing that coat, but the woman had borrowed it from his wife, and the woman was Miss Haslington.
Well, that's like Gellhorn and Emma.
Yeah. The cops were pretty sure to remember the famous Haslington case if a similar murder occurred and to jump to a conclusion based upon it, see? If everything was previously arranged to point that way. Don't you think so?
I don't know.
Oh, sure you do.
I tell you,
Now, the guy who really murdered your wife was fairly smart. He started to point suspicion toward where he wanted to fall soon after that magazine story gave him his big idea. And he figured a pretty fair alibi. He even had an excuse for a light to burn when it shouldn't have, so he could be seen in a place where he wasn't.
What are you driving at?
After the murder, he continued to play smart. He denied his belief in Gellhorn's guilt while constantly pointing the finger at him. And he got rid of the clothes he'd worn out in the rain. I looked for them while I was in your bedroom last night.
You're accusing me?
Because you slipped up on a little detail last night, and because tonight, the two of you made a bigger mistake.
Keep away from that door.
Come out of that room, Mrs. Gellhorn. Come out.
All right. Here I am.
You shouldn't have let your murder partner come here to talk things over, Randall. And you shouldn't have hidden her so clumsily before you let us in.
He knows, Nora. He knows everything.
Shut up, Jim. He wouldn't have known anything if you hadn't said that.
It doesn't matter now, does it?
Yes, it does. Don't make a move. Means you too, Miss Williams.
Is that the gun your boyfriend used to kill his wife with?
If it is, you'll never prove it.
Nora, what are you going to do?
The only thing to do, Jim. Kill these people. They know you killed your wife and that I helped you. They can send us to the chair.
You'll never get away with it.
We'll tell the police you broke in here and I shot you in self-defense.
Just a second, Mrs. Gellhorn. I want to go on living. And I've arranged things so I will.
How do you mean?
You've forgotten. I opened that window.
Window? Mrs. Patch.
She's been getting an eyeful and an earful.
I'll have you know, Mr. Casey, that I only happened to be at this window by accident.
I believe you, Mrs. Patch. Give me that gun, Mrs. Gellhorn. Thank you. Now, you two smart killers, sit down and wait for the cops. Go on, Randall. Phone headquarters, Annie.
Okay, Casey. After I phoned City Desk. Oh, but wait a minute. You still haven't told me why those pillows on the top of the bed made
We'll
me
go
sick.
over to the Blue Note, Annie, and I'll tell you all about it.
All right.
Oh, Mrs. Patch.
Yeah?
I guarantee that your picture will be in the Express tomorrow.
Oh, Mr. Casey!
Food supplies still present a picture of confusion. Many of the old established brand names are scarce. Many new names appear on your grocer's shelves. Under the circumstances, how can you be sure of getting the quality you want? May I make this suggestion? First, look for a name you know. And second, and especially when in doubt, buy glass-packed foods. For the glass container in itself is a guarantee of quality. Being transparent, only the best can be packed in glass. Only the best is packed in glass. Anchor glass containers and tamper-proof anchor caps, so widely used for the packaging of better foods, are products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Now, back to Casey and Ann at the Blue Note Cafe.
This Randall and Mrs. Gellhorn planned the killing so they could be free to tie up with one another, huh, Casey?
That's right, Ethelbert, yeah.
You still haven't told me what you had on Randall when you went to his place, Casey.
I didn't have anything, except the Haslington case you'd mentioned.
You mean the case of the sable cloak?
Okay, pal, the case of the sable cloak.
I think that's a nice title.
I only had that, a hunch about those bed pillars, and a hope that Randall would crack up and make an admission.
Yeah, what was your hunch about them bed pillows?
Well, I figured Randall might have rigged up a dummy to fool Mrs. Patch. That all she really saw were his pants and shirt stuffed with pillows.
And that was all she saw, too, Ethelbert. When Randall came back after the shooting, he got out of his wet clothes, put on the dry ones that had covered the dummy, and tossed the pillows back under the bed. But a little too carelessly.
What'd he do with the clothes he'd worn out in the rain?
Put them in Gellhorn's apartment. They belonged to Gellhorn. Randall had even worn his things.
Say, he and that Mrs. Gellhorn thought of almost everything.
Yes, Ethelbert. Almost everything.
You know, Casey, it's like my sister Edna says, quote, anything that's not worth doing is not worth doing well. Yeah, unquote.
Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and stars Stotts Cotsworth as Casey. It is written by Alonzo Dean Cole and is based on the fictional character of Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. It's lighter, more compact. It requires no deposit, no return to the store. We're talking about that famous Anchor glass beer and ale bottle pioneered by Anchor Hocking. It will shortly be released for civilian use. Watch for it. The new Anchor glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. A product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Our cast included Miss Leslie Woods as Ann Williams and John Gibson as Ethelbert. The Blue Note pianist was Herman Chittison, and the original music was by Archie Blyer. Crime Photographer is brought to you each Thursday at this time by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees. Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass. Tony Marvin speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Thomas V. O'Leary is the news editor of the Scranton Times in Pennsylvania. He started with the Gannett newspapers in his hometown of Elmira, New York. His professional background includes being a sports editor, reporter, columnist, and copy editor. Here now is Mr. O'Leary.
As a newspaper man for many years, I have seen much of life, the good and the bad. But curiously enough, the bright, not the dark deeds, have made the most lasting impressions on me. Can I ever forget the club-footed boy with the speech defect who peddled papers, rain or shine, until he had saved enough money to buy a home for his mother? Or the ragged youngster who laid a bunch of dandelions on the coffin of a stranger who had bought him a pair of mittens one wintry day? And the scrub woman who put 3 children through college? No, such memories never fade because they are woven of love, humility, faith, and usefulness, qualities without which life would be barren and meaningless. I have come to discern these virtues in all of our truly great. Paradoxically, these men are apart from all others because they are so accessible to all, because their work is inspired by faith, and because they desire to serve. They have truly learned that to give is to receive. I believe that we can and will make our world a better place in which to live. I believe, too, that each of us, even the lowliest, can contribute to this advance. My daily work affords me much satisfaction because it is an unceasing search for the truth, a search dedicated to the public interest, with the self and its own likes and dislikes subordinated to the facts, pleasing or unpleasing, which develop. In this constant quest, I have come to know that truth is vital to freedom, and must be found and affirmed at all costs, and that in every man there is an unquenchable thirst for justice. Sometimes our pages may seem cluttered with accounts of the latest antics of notorious public clowns, the crimes of public enemies, and the shortcomings of public servants. But throughout our newspapers can be discerned that strong seam of truth, which helps us to become better Americans and better world citizens. Truth frequently is elusive. It is so much about me that I often lack the proper perspective to see it in its real light. Like a mountain better viewed at a distance, it may require the passage of time before coming into focus. But when it does appear, it points the way to the right course, and it is gratifying to play even a minor role in finding it. Of course, it is easy to become cynical. Indeed, to some it is fashionable to scoff at virtue, and therein lies the greatest threat to our civilization, the danger of becoming so materialistic that faith and love are obliterated. The evolution of our society has been a long and painful process, differing from a revolution only in its slower pace. But through it all can be seen the handiwork of God, enabling man to learn eternal truths, to make his life more fruitful, and to prepare him for a better one. To pursue and capture truth is an elevating experience, and it often brings to my mind this beautiful Indian apologue. A man once said to a lump of clay, "What art thou?" The reply was, "I am but a lump of clay, but I was placed beside a rose, and I caught its fragrance."
That was Thomas V. O'Leary, whose optimistic outlook is founded upon ideals tested against the background of a newspaperman's experiences.
Crime does not pay.
Boy, oh boy, some party, huh, Maggie?
Was it? I hadn't noticed.
Just terrific, baby.
Well, let's see now. This is Friday. Seems to me we had the same party, except for my little invention, every night this week.
Oh, but that invention, Maggie, you're a genius. Just like me.
Okay, genius. Then how about figuring some way to have some real fun?
There's nothing wrong with this layout. Everybody thinks it's swell.
Everybody but me. I want out. And fast.
Ah, come on to bed, Maggie. You'll feel better in the morning.
I hate the country. I hate staying in one spot. I promise you, Joe, I won't feel better in the morning.
Yes, you will. Come on, let's hit the hay.
Better get this straight, Joey. I don't want to hit the hay. I want to see the world.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Ingenious Woman, starring Barbara O'Neill. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Barbara O'Neill as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman. They were riding high. Joe Davis had the perfect layout. A huge house on a back road within reach of a good-sized city, but still isolated. The gang loved it, from Joe himself all the way down the line to Snoopy Stark, who just drove the getaway cars. Yes, they all loved it, even Joe's wife, Maggie, or so it seemed. And their parties were something to talk about out there where noise and general rowdyism couldn't disturb any neighbor.
Hey, Maggie, how's about a smooch, eh?
Stop it, Hotshot. You're not funny when you're like this.
Oh, come on, Maggie. Joey won't mind.
He better mind.
Well, naturally I mind. What do I mind?
Oh, you go away, too.
You hear that, Hotshot? Is that a way to treat a one and only husband?
One and only's right. When they made you, they took one look and gave up in disgust.
What's with you, Maggie? This is a swell party.
Yeah, sure. Exactly like the party last night, and the night before that, and the night before that.
So what?
So plenty. I'm bored.
Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas. Wait a minute. Maggie's bored. Make her laugh. Oink, 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 oink.
Not very funny.
You got any ideas? Your turn, Maggie.
Hey, ideas. Who's got ideas?
Yeah, let me hear the ideas. Who's got it?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have an idea.
You got an idea?
You want to play a new game?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now listen.
I'm game.
While you gentlemen have been sleeping your days away, little Maggie's been busy.
So that's why I can't get into the library.
Well, I picked the library, dear, because there's nothing in it you'd care to read anyway.
Yeah, it's no comic books. Very funny. Go ahead, Maggie.
Well, who wants to be it?
What is it, blind man's buff?
No way. Who's it?
Well, how's about we flip for it, huh?
Yeah.
Odd man. And no two-headed coin.
Yeah.
All right, when I say three, fellas. 1, 2, 3. Tails. Me too. I'm in, I guess. Heads.
Well, then come along with Mama.
To the library?
To the library. The rest of you stay here till I call you.
Okay, Queenie.
Right. Hey, where's the lights?
No lights. You're not supposed to see. And I don't have to.
Just like post office when I was a kid.
Yes, dear. Just. Now sit down, Eager.
Where?
Here. That's a good boy.
Hey, it's an armchair.
Hold the arms. Good. Now, one side.
What you doing, Maggie?
Now, the other side.
Hey, what's the idea?
And the legs.
I got it. That made me feel like I was getting a hot seat.
Now, the latest sachet chapeau for Eager's lovely head.
Oh, Maggie, let me out of there.
And last, the lights.
Hey, it is a hot seat.
All right, boys.
Hey, what's the matter?
You want to be witness?
Hey, he's cute, all strapped in.
Don't even look natural. This for the Brooklyn job or that one in Florida?
Make her let me out of this. Come on, Maggie, let me out. This feels like maybe it works.
You want to see?
Hey, can you beat that, Dave?
Hey, Maggie, let him out of that chair.
Why? A good tickle never hurt anybody. I had to give shock treatments to nuts, even.
You're not
You see, I rigged it to the wall plug.
Maggie, don't do it.
What, and spoil my fun? Of course not. Well, here we go, boys.
Hey, Maggie, don't.
Oh, that didn't hurt, did it? You want another little tickle, Eager?
Hey, that's terrific, huh?
Hey, Maggie, you're really something.
What an idea, what an idea. Hey, fellas, get me out of here. Hey, look at him jump. Give it to him, Maggie. Yeah, come on. Hey, this is just like the real thing.
Hit him again, Maggie. Hit him again. Go ahead.
Okay, boys. Okay, Eager's had enough. Now, who wants to try my little invention next?
boy, some party, huh, Maggie?
Was it? I hadn't noticed.
Just to riff, baby.
Let's see now. This is Friday. Seems to me we had the same party, except for my little invention, every night this week.
Oh, but that invention, Maggie, you're a genius. Like me.
Okay, genius. Then how about figuring some way for us to have some real fun?
Well, what's wrong with this layout? Everybody thinks it's swell.
Everybody but me. I want out, and fast.
Ah, come on to bed, Maggie. You'll feel better in the morning.
I hate the country. I hate staying in one spot. I promise you, Joe, I won't feel better in the morning.
Yes, you will. Come on, let's hit the hay.
You better get this straight, Joey. I don't want to hit the hay. I want to see the world.
All of a sudden, the world.
All of a sudden, nothing. Before we got married, you promised me trips, cars, and clothes. And what have I got? 12-room hole in the country and no place to get dressed up for if I had the clothes.
All right. So what, where, and how?
Well, now look, Joe. You could let the boys keep house here, you see. We've got the passports. We never used them. We could get a couple of visas for England, hop a plane, and be over there in no time.
You got it all figured, haven't you?
Well, of course. You think all I do with my time is figure out how to build phony electric chairs?
I must say, Mrs. Davis, having you over here is both a pleasure and a profit.
Well, thank you, Albert. You're sweet.
Of course, we've had our own methods of operation, but you Americans are most efficient. Yes, quite.
What is it here, Lennon? Your caps on the slow side?
Not at all, Davis. Manpower shortage, the war and all.
Well, the pickings ought to be terrific.
Not quite that, Mrs. Davis, but good enough.
Well, what's holding you back? Hot cars ought to net you plenty, if you have an organization.
We have the organization, but so has Harry Layton.
Who's that?
Well, Harry controls the south of England. He's been expanding his activities in our direction.
Well, why don't you stop him?
His gunners are as good as ours. We aren't especially anxious to have any of our boys hurt.
Hey, you gotta take chances sometimes.
In this racket, you don't have to.
We'd be very happy to listen to a suggestion, Mrs. Davis.
Now, take it easy, Maggie.
You boys ever rig a torpedo under a hood?
El?
Never heard of it.
Me either. If you'd be so good, Mrs. Davis.
Well, it's really quite simple. All you need, basically, are a few sticks of dynamite and some wire.
Since the war, explosives are plentiful. Your American factories sent us some marvelous supplies.
Kind of underground Marshall Plan, you might call it.
Fair enough. Well, now then, this is the way you might do it. First, you'd have to have access to your friend Harry's car.
Simple enough.
And then you have your torpedo ready with a primer that'll go off on a 6-volt battery.
If you can see, connect the primer to the battery.
Blow yourself up? No. Connect it under the car's hood to the terminals of the ignition switch.
That's my wife, fellas, the electrical wizard.
Which is the feminine of that word, Joey?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Go ahead, teacher.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Friend Harry turns on his ignition, boom. No more car. No more Harry. And no more competition.
Might be worth a try. Think so, El?
Worth a try? I'll say so. And quite efficient. Yes, most efficient. In a true American fashion.
That you, Joe?
Right. Well, the boys did it, Maggie. Every one of those silly London newshawks with the sandwich signs, you know.
What about them?
Special. Get your special edition. Gang warfare. Harry Layton goes up in smoke. Okay. Hold everything. Yeah?
Sergeant Detective Rivers, CID. May I come in?
CID? What's that?
Come right in, Sergeant. CID. Oh, that's Scotland Yard, isn't it?
Yes, madam. Quite correct. I assume you are Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Davis?
And what if we are?
There are no ifs about it, Mr. Davis. We've been with you, shall we say, since your arrival here in England.
Well.
Yes, madam. I dropped by to advise you we've taken James Lennon into custody. We expect very shortly to apprehend Albert Maxwell.
And what's that got to do with us?
Nothing, I trust. However, we do know of your contacts with the parties in question, and we regret to inform you that the Foreign Office finds it necessary to cancel your visas at once. They have so informed your ambassador. We expect you to act accordingly as soon as transportation is available, or we shall have to take you in charge. Good day, sir. Madam.
What was he yakking about?
Oh, don't you get it, dimwit? Start packing. In plain American, we've been given the heave-ho. Right out of dear old London.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Ingenious Woman. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Barbara O'Neill as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman. While Maggie packed their trunks and bags, Joe Davis tried for space on planes leaving England. There was none available. Joe tried the big ocean liners. Joe tried the smaller passenger vessels. Joe and Maggie finally arrived in Miami, Florida, aboard a grimy freighter. Maggie did not permit Joe to forget that voyage for a long time.
50 square feet of deck for 15 days. That's all we had. 50 square feet of rolling deck. And the food and that stupid first mate.
All right. I heard it all before.
Yeah, and you'll hear it again. Great brain. Oh, we had the passports. No one will check us. Don't get new ones under phony names. So Scotland Yard tailed us from the minute we got off that plane.
Now listen, it was your idea. The passports, I mean.
Not after I thought about it, it wasn't.
Who wanted to see the world? Well, you saw it. London, Liverpool, and every lousy port in the West Indies until we hit here. Don't you complain. Me, I'm glad to be back in a country where people talk American.
All the good it does. And a third-rate, broken-down flea bag they call a hotel. Not even on the beach. The city of Miami on the wrong side of Biscayne Bay.
This joint is perfect for my operations.
Your What now, lame brain?
It may interest you, Mrs. Lame Brain, that I'm taking over the bookies in this burg.
Oh, and buying a half interest in the racetrack, no doubt.
Could be someday.
Someday? When?
Snoopy and Eager are coming down.
Oh, tell me when. I want to rig another little electric chair for little Eager.
Day after tomorrow. And leave the chairs alone.
Don't worry about that. Well, Eager will be afraid to sit down around here. What's your plan?
Well, frankly, dearest, it's none of your business.
Now, look, as long as I'm married to you...
This is one operation I'm running my way.
You know Big Jim Palmer runs the rackets around here?
So what? I'll cut him down to size. Stick around, Maggie. You'll see fireworks before the winter's over. Okay, Eager. That's the jerk on the corner.
Right. Hold the phone.
We'll show him, huh, Snoopy?
Yeah, we'll show him, boss.
Hey, you taking the bets around here?
What if I am?
Joey Davis takes his cut direct.
You working for Joey?
I don't kid about that. Joey's sitting right in the car this time to back me up. Pay. 10%.
Says you. Here's the pigeon, fella. Hey, Joey, it's a frame.
Yeah, get going, quick.
Where's Eager?
Eager's dead. Didn't you see him get it in the head? Now drive before they cut us to pieces. Hey, Maggie. Hey, give me a hand. Snoopy's hurt.
Hurt bad? Where's Eager?
Eager's dead. They opened up on us with a chopper.
My arm. It's broke, I tell you. My arm is
Come on,
broke.
put Snoopy on the couch. Get his jacket off.
Oh.
Yeah.
You and your half interest in racetracks.
Oh.
What'd you do? Try to take a bookie in broad daylight?
Yeah, I figured it'd scare the pants off a big How'd you know?
I know you, dummy.
Oh, my arm.
Oh, it's not so bad. Only a flesh wound. Were you followed here?
How would I know? We just beat it.
Oh, that ties it. You botched it again. I'll start packing, bright boy, while I tie up your boyfriend here before he bleeds to death. In a minute. Oh.
Hello, Maggie. Remember me?
Well, nobody forgets Jim Palmer.
Right. Except maybe that bake brain you married.
What's your spiel?
Still sticking to him, kid? You want a job with me?
I said, what's your spiel?
Joey here?
He's out. Looking for a drugstore. Hey, is anything open on Sunday in Philadelphia?
My eyes are. Wide enough to see a character in town. I want out of town. Tell Joey when he comes back. You got 24 hours to scram out of Philly. Or it'll be as unhealthy around here as a certain street corner in Miami.
I sure miss Snoopy. Don't you, Maggie?
Yeah, like a hole in the head.
He's probably having himself a time on that farm.
Uh-huh. If there is a farm.
Oh, there is. I saw pictures of it once. And his uncle and aunt.
Good place for Snoopy. For the pigs.
Ah, can't you ever say anything decent about anybody?
Why should I? What have I got? Except you.
Ah, nuts. I'm going out.
Where?
Out. I'll tell you after I've been there.
Maggie, my girl. You soft in the head, sticking with this jerk. Oh, quick trip.
Hey, Maggie. Two of Jim's boys, Rod Stabbers and Shiv Hines, across the street.
Oh, what are they doing? Waiting for a streetcar?
No. For me.
Say, you got the shakes. Jim Chase is out of Miami and Philly, not New York.
Well, I didn't tell you. I got a message. Out of New York, too. I thought we could maybe hide out.
You thought? With what? Where's my hat?
Hey, where are you going?
To the movies. There's a swell gangster picture up the block.
Oh, no, Maggie, cut it out. You can't leave me alone.
Oh, they won't try anything here. Too many witnesses. Anyhow, they'll wait for night. Stay here, crumb bum. Maybe I'll think of something to get you out of this.
Oh, Maggie, no, have a heart. Maggie!
Which one of you is Rod Status?
Who wants to know?
I'm Maggie Davis.
Yeah? Pleased to meet you. This here is Shiv Hines.
Hello, Shiv.
Yeah.
I understand you boys have an interest in my husband.
You might call it that. The boss has.
I know. I saw him in Philly.
Offer you a job?
He did?
The boss likes his dames grown up.
Meaning exactly what?
You don't play with kids.
I'm not a kid.
You'll do. Too bad your guy ain't got brains to match your looks.
I'm beginning to feel that way myself.
Yeah? Why don't you ditch him?
I promised my mother I'd never get a divorce.
Is that all? Forget it. Look, lady, for a dame whose guy is on the spot, you sure are taking up time with the wrong people.
Am I, Rod?
Ain't you?
Maybe not. Maybe the job you fellas have to do works two ways.
So what?
So maybe there's a quiet little place around here we could go and talk.
What about?
Oh, things like husbands, knives. You like to talk about knives, don't you, Shiv?
Davis?
Right here, Rod.
Yeah, the boss said okay.
Good. Now, you won't nuff this now. I've had enough botched jobs to last me a lifetime.
Don't worry about that. All right, start talking.
You go in the front way. This key opens the vestibule door.
Yeah, gotcha.
2 flights up, door facing the head of the stairs.
Yeah.
2nd floor rear.
Yeah.
He didn't even take a front room.
He ain't sitting there with a heater waiting for us, because if he is, Big Jim will see to it that you die slow and uncomfortable.
He's sound asleep. Doesn't even know I'm out. Here's the key to that door.
You sure make this easy.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we can do an ears job.
A what?
Red holds his ears. I say, look at us, Joey. Then I slit him.
Maybe you can.
All right, come on, Shiv. Time's a wasting.
You coming, Mrs. Davis?
No, I'll wait till you come back. Then I'll go up and find him.
Good enough. All right, come on, let's go.
This one ought to go quick.
Good. Now, get the hood up. Set it. There. Between the engine and the dashboard. Wires? Nice little work line. Don't even need no flash. All set. He turns the ignition key. Boom. Joey will be done. And no witnesses. Neat. Well, you should be through by now. Well, that was fast.
I got a hot knife through butter. Pretty neat. Let's go, Mrs. Davis.
Go? Where?
You didn't think Jim would let you go around loose after this job, did you?
Oh. I see. Here?
No. Boss said to take you out a ways.
You did? Boss wants me out of ways. In this car?
Right. Told us just where and how.
It'll be quick.
Oh, it'll be quick, all right. Very quick. Is Shiv driving? Or do you hold that gun on me and drive at the same time, Rod?
Shiv drives. We sit in the back. All right, get in.
Certainly.
You make her stop that rot. She makes me laugh.
You wouldn't want me not to laugh in my last moments, would you, Shiv?
All right, shut the door, Shiv. You got the car keys. Well, here goes nothing.
You're so right, Shiv. Here goes nothing. Turn the key, Shiv. Here goes nothing.
Start the car, Shiv. Got it. Here we go.
Just remember, Shiv, the joke was on all of us.
Crime does not pay. Barbara O'Neill, who was starred as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Barbara O'Neill.
I think the story of Maggie Davis, a woman who finally destroyed herself, is something to think about. Actually, where does the fault lie? With the woman herself? Or does the fault lie with the society, which failed to provide proper channels for this woman and her talents? That is something to think about as we evaluate the losses caused by crime to ourselves as well as to the criminals. That is something to think about each time we reiterate the phrase, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Barbara O'Neill. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks D. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
I believe. Tierra Farrell, who has been a lawyer for over 50 years, was a pioneer woman in this field. She became the first woman judge in Kansas City, Missouri. For the past 11 years, she has been legal aid counselor in the Kansas City Welfare Department. Her autobiography has been published recently under the title Lawyer in Petticoats. Here now is Tierra Farrell.
Since a philosophy of life is developed from a steady growth of the mental workings within the individual, it is rather difficult to put down on paper the very beginning of that process. Personally, no doubt mine had its inception at an early age through the Christian belief of my mother and my regular attendance at Sunday school and church. Gradually I became impregnated with the concept of the Golden Rule. This I have tried to follow in my daily contacts. I early believed that God placed me and all other individuals here on earth for some purpose, that personally I owed a certain obligation to my fellow men to play the game of life so as to fulfill that purpose. To fit myself better for my role, I decided I wanted to become a lawyer. Lack of funds was my stumbling block. Earnestly I prayed for guidance. God showed me the way. In my profession of law, mostly, I came in contact with individuals who knew only the seamy side of life. That experience did not embitter me or cause me to become cynical. Rather, my sympathetic attitude toward those persons became stronger. I arrived at the conclusion that there was some good in every one in whatever status of life he might be. In my attempts to carry on, I learned to have compassion for and a greater understanding of those about me. It was my duty and obligation to help those less fortunate than I, to live normal, contented lives, to give them more than they might give me. I learned that everyone has problems, large or small, confronting him throughout his life. Some have the inner capacity to overcome these. Others must depend on outside individual and collective assistance. I am convinced that my courage to face life's problems came from God. I've met with blows and disappointments, as perhaps all others have at times. The God-given resources within me and my prayers for His help have come to my rescue to such an extent that I have been able either to cast these disturbances aside as unimportant, or I have been shown that such experiences were merely useful tools in leading me toward some further achievement. Never have I found it necessary to go into a closet or get down on my knees to pray to God. Always, every day, and sometimes many times a day, I realized that my soul was on its knees in supplication. I recall one day when I was sitting as a substitute judge of the municipal court in our city, 9 women charged with soliciting on the streets were brought before me for judicial action. I confess I did not know at the moment what to do. Then I bowed my head and reverently and silently asked His help in finding a solution. The answer came. What did Jesus do when a woman accused of immorality was brought before Him? I have always believed in myself, in my capacity to fight if I believed in my cause, and thus I fought for equality of the sexes under the laws and equality of opportunities for everyone. As the years have come and gone, my belief in the Christian religion has grown stronger. I believe it has kept me in the well-worn path of my brother's keeper. By following its tenets, I must be fulfilling at least one purpose for which I was born.
Those were the beliefs of Tierra Farrell, a pioneer woman lawyer of Kansas City, Missouri.
Calling all detectives. Shadowing is part of a detective's business. But once I had a case that involved a whole collection of shadows, all stolen. That is the situation on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Every once in a while, a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, gets a case that puts all the others in the dark. The little man who entered my office smiled diffidently at me.
I am Etienne Surin. I wish to consult with you, Monsieur Browning.
I waved him to a chair. Okay, Mr. Surin, what's your problem?
It is a matter of shadows, monsieur. You are acquainted with this line of work?
I nodded. I don't care much for it, but I do it when necessary. Whom do you want shadowed and why? My visitor shook his head.
It is that you misunderstand. This is the type of shadow to which I make reference.
Saran whipped a pair of scissors from his pocket, grabbed a piece of paper from my desk, and went to work. In less than a minute...
Voilà, Monsieur Browning, a shadow of yourself. I, Etienne Saran, am the silhouette artist supreme. In exactly 33 seconds, I transform a piece of lifeless black paper to your living image.
Say, that's mighty clever. But what has it to do with consulting me?
Everything, monsieur. It is that I have a stall in Webster Park, where I make the silhouette for customers and my own amusement. I have a magnificent collection of silhouettes. For 20 years I've made them. They hang on the walls of my stall. To me, they are the expression of my genius.
Okay, what about them?
Monsieur, they're all gone or stolen. I beg of you, please find my shadows.
A fast-working silhouette artist hired me to recover his missing collection of shadow pictures. On our way to Webster Park, Saran was still talking about his art.
I do not cut merely the head picture. I do the full-length figure. A woman carrying a child, a man eating from a bag of popcorn. Yet all this is only outline work. For not even the great Saran can show details as in a drawing or painting.
Webster Park was a sort of self-enclosed Coney Island set down in a neighborhood of tenements and factories. It had the usual luck games, rides, and souvenir booths. Saran's stall was next to the bingo game concession. Sure enough, the walls of Saran's booth were bare. Come on, Saran. Let's visit your neighbors, find out if anybody saw the thief. It was a little early for the bingo tent to have any customers, so we talked to Benny Cook, the number caller.
No, I don't know nothing about the guy's paper dolls. Anyways, I've been off sick the last couple of nights, so the boss ran a concession.
Is the boss around?
Mr. Archie? Sure, he's around the grounds someplace.
Looking for the bingo tent boss, we stopped at the Guess Your Weight concession.
Say, listen, I already told the cops I didn't see the guy. There's lots of creeps wearing sports jackets around here. What's so special about one with a briefcase?
I turned to Saran. And what's he talking about? And why didn't you tell me you'd called in the police?
But, monsieur, I have not called the police. And as for sport jacket, the briefcase...
Saran shrugged helplessly.
I, too, do not know what this man talks about.
Then I got the story from the weight guesser.
Last night, somebody knocked over the friendly loan joint across the street, slugged the bookkeeper. A gook makes a grab at the high sky scene, snags a piece of his plaid jacket before he counts out. When he comes to, he's got lumps, and a briefcase with $5,000 is missing from the office. Seems a couple of guys seen the heister dash into this here park and disappear into the crowd, but me, I didn't see him. I couldn't see any connection between the holdup and the theft of Saran's shadow pictures, so we went looking for Archer, the bingo game boss. Finally found him at the park cafeteria.
No, I didn't see no ice sky, and I didn't see no ghost lifting Saran's pictures. I didn't see nothing. My man Benny was sick, and I was working a bingo game, and that's a full-time job, watching chiselers trying to ring extra cards in on you. Besides, I don't feel good, so do me a favor, quit bothering me.
And that was that. Saran and I went back to his empty stall.
20 years more it will take me to make another such collection so good, so better I start right now.
I watched the little man work for a while, noticed that he'd take only a passing glance at some person walking past his booth, then snip a full-length outline of the passerby in a matter of seconds. Hey, hold it a second, Saran. Would you say your collection had any real value, resale value?
The pity of it, no. Your silhouette, you value. But to tell the strictest truth, it is not art. No detail, no technique, no value.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So why would somebody risk stealing your collection unless... Wait a second. You cut these pictures of people who pass by. Suppose you cut one last night of a man in a plaid jacket who was carrying a briefcase. Suppose he knew you'd done it, figured he'd be recognized from the picture, so he stole your whole collection to hide the fact that he just wanted his own silhouette.
Vraiment? You are a man of genius. Except, I did not cut such a picture. Too bad.
Benny, the bingo number caller, came sauntering by.
What's the matter, Saran? Still mourning a bunch of paper dolls?
No, I think we've got the reason for the loss figured out. Now listen, Saran, you must have cut the hold-up man's silhouette. No other explanation makes sense. Start getting a picture of a man with a briefcase. Do it right now. You may get a muscular recall of something your mind doesn't remember.
Well, I gotta be going.
What's your hurry, Benny? Stick around. This might be interesting.
Get out of my way before I slug you. You're fixing to frame me, but I tell you I was homesick. Archer! Hey, Archer!
It wasn't Archer, the boss, who came running up, but 2 cops. They searched Benny, found nothing. But at his boarding house, they had better luck. They found the torn plaid sports jacket, the briefcase, though not the money. Yeah? Archer had that. He and Benny engineered the holdup together. That's why Benny dashed into the park, passed the money to his boss.
It's no use, Monsieur Browning. I cannot do the picture. It is that some people, their faces are like mush. No individualism. I cut the picture, start to cut it, and throw it away. Many times a night I do that. And with this Benny who has the mushy pictures, it must be that I start the picture and then, eh bien, throw it away. Perhaps.
Well, it made no difference, of course, because Benny had seen Saran start the picture. Came back and stole the whole collection rather than take the time to look for his own silhouette. Then his own alarm provided the real tip-off. Like I said, when somebody acts like he's cut out for crime, he usually proves it on himself, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
Let go of my arms. I'll give you money. All the money you want.
No, Fred, no!
You monsters. I'll make you pay for this.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Murder's a Lonely Business. And now, Murder at Midnight. Unusual stories of terror and mystery by radio's masters of the macabre. This tale, a study of murder in duet, is by William Morwood. Its title, Murder's a Lonely Business. At a cemetery, a burial is taking place.
Forasmuch as it hath pleased Almighty God in His great mercy to take unto Himself the soul of our brother,
The 2 chief mourners, Fred and Grace Tilson, stand beside the open grave.
earth to earth,
And as he looks at his
ashes
wife,
to ashes,
bitter thoughts
dust
course
to
through
dust.
Fred's mind.
sure and certain
Look
hope
at her.
of the resurrection.
Look at her standing there, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. Tears. Real tears after what she did. After what she made me do. She doesn't know what sincerity is, or love, or pity either. She's hard. Hard all the way through. And I never knew. Never even suspected till we killed him. Now, that's the way she acted. I'll never forget it. Never. A nightmare always. How can I go on living with her? How can I ever trust her again? What am I to do? Oh, Lord, I'd give anything for it.
To think I ever married that sniveling creature. I believe he's really crying. Really sorry. As if he cared a hoop about his Uncle Edward outside of the money he could get out of him. He was ready enough to help put the old man out of the way the other night. Now his nerve's gone. All he can think about is a drink. That's the only time I feel safe with him. When he's drunk. And not always then. The way he's been carrying on lately, Lord knows what he'll say or do next. I'll have to watch him every minute of the time. He's a fool.
Through thy mercy, O our Lord, who livest and reignest with the Father and the Holy Ghost, ever one God, world without end. Amen.
Amen. Goodbye, Uncle Edward. They're throwing dirt on your coffin now. But you won't mind. You're cold and silent now. Very different from the way you were 3 nights ago.
3 nights ago. Was that all it was? Another lifetime, but... Yes, that's right. Driving up to his house in the dark. Letting ourselves in. Uncle Edward!
He must be up in his study.
I guess so. Servant's night out. Uncle Edward?
The door above opened, and Uncle Edward started down the marble staircase. In my mind's eye, instead of Uncle Edward, I could see my friends, a whole crowd filling the room, and myself in a gorgeous gown descending to greet them. A much more fitting picture than the stodgy form of Uncle Edward as he came down toward us.
Well, this is a surprise.
I thought we'd drop in, Uncle Edward. It's been a long time.
6 weeks, to be exact, Fred. How are you, Grace?
Wonderful, thanks, Uncle Edward.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. You look a little off your feed. Come on into the library. You'll be more comfortable here. Oh, drink, Fred?
Why,
Don't be polite. From what I hear, you're rarely seen without one these days.
You sound as if you'd had spies watching us, Uncle Edward.
It's entirely possible. I've certainly been interested in your activities. For instance, I hear you can be found at a gambling house almost every evening, Grace.
Oh, only the fashionable ones, where everybody goes. You've got to keep in the swim nowadays.
If you can afford it. You can't. Not on Fred's salary.
That's the trouble.
Well, frankly, Uncle Edward, that's why we've come here tonight. We're in a jam again.
Money?
What else?
And you want me to bail you out, huh? Well, I'll be equally frank with you. This time I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry I've helped you out of messes often enough in the past. Each time I hoped you'd pull yourself together, settle down and lead solid, respectable lives. But each time you disappointed me. Now I've given up hoping.
Uncle Edward, I promise you...
Too late, Fred. I can't believe your promises anymore. I've given you and Grace every chance. Now I'm washing my hands of you. You can't expect help from me ever again. Now or in the future.
Exactly what does that mean?
My lawyer's coming here tomorrow. And I'm going to cut Fred out of my will. Cut him out entirely.
Uncle Edward.
Every cent I have is to be left to charity.
Why, you're not serious. You can't be. Why, it's not fair. I'm your only nephew and
No use talking, Fred. My mind is made up. Now, would you care to discuss the weather?
No.
I thought you wouldn't, Grace.
Come along, Fred. Uncle Edward, I advise you to change your mind about this.
I beg your pardon?
Because if you don't, you may live to be sorry.
We went outside. Grace was in a white rage, and I was all jumping myself. We walked around the garden paths, trying to get hold of ourselves before we started back to town.
You know what this means, don't you, Fred? The end of everything. We'll never be able to get credit once it's known that Uncle Edward's cut us off.
Yes, I know.
Somehow, some way, we've got to stop him from changing his will.
But how? You know there's no use arguing with him. He's as stubborn as a mule. Besides, there's no time left. He's going to do it tomorrow.
I know. Unless, of course, something happens to him before that.
Such as?
He could die.
What?
Suddenly.
Some chance he's as healthy. Grace, what are you thinking of?
You know.
You're mad.
If you want to spend the rest of your life struggling with debts, not able to do anything, I don't.
But
everything's perfect for it. The old man's alone in the house. No one knows we called this evening. No one will.
Stop it. I won't listen to you.
Be a man for once in your life. Everything you want. Money, luxury. For 5 minutes' work.
Yes, but how?
The gun. The gun he keeps in the desk in his study. You've seen it.
Yes.
We'll take the money, valuables, to make it look like a robbery. Well? What are you afraid of? The sight of a little blood?
Grace, I don't know you when you talk like this.
I know what I'm after for both of us. It's our only chance of a future. Together. Are you coming?
Yes.
All right. Then let's go in. The servants will be coming back. We haven't any time to waste.
We went back into the house, climbed the long staircase to Uncle Edward's study. My mouth was dry, my knees were shaking. We reached the landing.
Knock on the door.
Grace, suppose...
It's too late to suppose anything. Knock.
Yes? Come in. I was expecting you back.
You were?
Certainly. I didn't think you let the money go that easily. Not after Grace's threat.
What do you mean?
You should have been a man, Grace. You've a completely ruthless streak in you. You'll stop at nothing to get what you're after. No wonder you've led poor Fred around by the nose so long.
Now, look here, Uncle Edward.
Sorry to hurt your feelings, Fred, but you must admit it's true. Now, if you two will explain why you came back...
We hope to make you change your mind.
You should know me better than that. I've said my last word.
Not your last, Uncle Edward. Not yours.
What Grace means
You
is...
don't have to explain, Fred. Her interest in my desk explains itself. The right-hand drawer, Grace. Were you by any chance looking for this?
The gun?
Yes, I took the precaution of removing it. As I said, I was expecting you back.
I don't know what you're talking about, Uncle Edward. I was only looking for your checkbook. I thought the least that you could do was to help us out of our present difficulties.
It's a good story, Grace, but not quite good enough. Now, as it's almost 12, perhaps you'd both be good enough to leave my house permanently.
You win, Uncle Edward. I suppose we were foolish to think that we could find a soft spot in that stone heart of yours.
You were foolish, all right. This way.
This reminds me of the old days, when Fred and I were first married, when we used to come and visit you. You used to see us to the head of the stairs when it came time to go. Just like this.
That was a long time ago.
I wish those days could come back.
Impossible. Well, good night, Fred, and goodbye.
Well, aren't you going to shake hands with your only nephew?
Well, since it's for the last time, goodbye, Fred.
Hold him, Fred. No, Fred.
What? Let go of me, Grace.
Fred, you get a what?
No. I'll give you money. All the money you want. No, you monsters. I'll make you pay for this.
Grace, what did we do? What did you make...
Get down there, quick.
There's no pulse. His heart... He's dead. Grace, when we find him...
An accident. The old man tripped on the stairs and broke his back. The money's ours, Fred. Everything we wanted.
Grace,
A dead man lying at the foot of the stairs, and a white-faced couple staring at each other. Did they hear a voice from beyond? Is it possible for the dead to make the living pay for murder at midnight? And now, here is Grace Tilson to continue our story.
It went according to plan. The inquest raised no ugly questions or suspicions. And then after Uncle Edward's funeral, we settled down in the great old mansion. I could have been happy. So happy. Except for Fred. He'd taken to drinking again. Haven't you had enough, Fred?
Another little drink won't do me. Excuse me.
You're such an idiot. The way you've been acting ever since...
We did in poor Uncle Edward? Don't be afraid to say it, Grace. We're alone now.
Why did you give up your job so suddenly?
I'm a rich man now. No need to work.
But it looks so suspicious. And the way you've let yourself slip. That dirty shirt. You haven't shaved in 2 days.
Don't tell me you're ashamed of me.
I can't ask anyone to the house. And I had such plans for us. Entertaining, parties, making a name for ourselves.
Sorry, that's not my idea of a career.
In heaven's name, what is?
Drinks. More drinks. Then another one.
I won't let you turn into a drunken bum. I won't be disgraced like that.
I'll do exactly what I like, and you won't stop me. Don't forget, my love. We share a little secret together.
I'm not forgetting.
No matter what happens, you're tied to me for the rest of your life.
I wouldn't be too sure of that, Fred. If I get a chance at what I want, you won't stand in my way. Nothing will.
What did she mean by that? I thought about it, brooded over it, couldn't forget it. Then one evening as we sat together in a nightclub, things became clearer.
Did you hear me, Fred?
What?
I said I wanted a cigarette.
Oh, certainly, Mother. Here you are. Match?
If you can hold it steady enough. Why do you have to get soused every time we go out?
A tribute to your intoxicating charm.
Oh, don't be so... Oh, well, there's Ronnie.
Good old Ronnie. Dowager's delight.
Now, if you'll only look over this way.
With that dress you're wearing? You will.
Ronnie! Oh, Ronnie!
The change that came over her. Smile. Sparkling eyes as he came over to our table.
Well, hello there. This is a pleasant surprise, bumping into you again, Tilton.
Getting to be a regular routine. The theater, the races, everywhere I go with Grace.
Yes, we seem to share a lot in common, Fred.
Sit down, Ronnie. What do you have to drink?
Oh, nothing, thanks. I've had my quota for the evening.
Well, I'm glad someone knows when to stop.
Maybe Ronnie's got other vices.
I have, Fred. One of them's dancing. You mind if I take Grace out on the floor for a turn?
Why ask me? I'm sure Grace will agree to anything you say.
Fred, now what kind of a nasty...
Oh, come on, Grace. Fred didn't mean anything. Well, see you later, old boy.
They danced well together. As I watched them, I remembered the things I'd heard about Ronnie. Of his rich wife who died so conveniently. And the fortune he'd run through. I saw Grace look into his eyes. Their lips moved. The suspicion grew on me till it became a certainty. They were plotting my death. The veins stood out in my forehead. My hands grew cold. But I knew exactly what I had to do. I had to strike first. I had to kill them before they killed me. If only I knew what they were plotting. If only I could hear they were whispering to each other.
Oh, Grace, darling, you're so silent.
It's Fred. How dare he act that way?
Oh, he's a very unpleasant person.
Of course, he's under the weather. But that's no excuse.
Just means he doesn't give a rap for you. Never has.
Well, don't let's talk about him.
Right. Music's lovely.
Yes.
So are you.
Ronnie.
You dance like an angel. I could hold you in my arms forever. Oh, we're just made for each other. You know that, Grace, don't you?
I'd rather not think about it.
But you must. Have you considered what we talked about the other day?
It's impossible.
Why? I love you more than anything in the world. We have the same tastes and ambitions. We could be a wonderful success together.
But...
You love me, too, don't you?
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, then what's stopping us? What's so precious about the life of a drunken bum?
Fred's my husband.
Husband? You love him? Even respect him?
No. I did feel sorry for him, but not anymore. Not after tonight. I hate him.
That's more like it. No, then there's nothing to interfere.
Except...
The danger? Leave that in my hands. You have just one job to do, Grace.
And that?
Get Fred up to my place in the mountains for a vacation. I guarantee he'll never come back.
I don't know if I should have been suspicious. Fred agreed to go up to Ronnie's place with surprising ease. It was almost as if he'd been expecting the invitation. The night we planned to do it, we sat in the living room, just the three of us. Ronnie was playing the piano.
Fred, I'm awfully rusty. I haven't practiced in weeks.
It sounds grand to me, Ronnie.
Why don't you join him, Grace? I know you're just dying to play with Ronnie. Duet, I mean.
Well, that's all we have time for anyway. I promised the Pearsons we wouldn't be late.
Oh, that beach picnic. Tell you the truth, I don't feel much like it.
But you promised to go, Fred.
Do you a world of good, old boy. Wonderful night for a swim.
You both seem very anxious to get me down to that lake.
Why, not at all. If you want Grace and me to go alone.
All right, I'll come. But I've got to go upstairs for my bathing suit. Wait for me here.
Hurry it up, old boy. All set, Grace? You know exactly what to do?
Well, I think so.
You make a great fuss about Fred drinking. That'll be remembered afterwards. I'll take care of him at the raft. Push his head underwater
If he struggles, he'll call out.
Not in the condition he's in. He's as weak as a baby. It'll be all over in a few minutes. I'll swim back and...
Ronnie!
Yes?
Isn't there some other way? We love each other so much. We just...
Run off together? Let's be realistic, darling. We need the money. His money. Love in a cottage isn't our style.
I suppose not. Where is he? What's keeping him so long?
I'm just as glad. Come on, Grace. I want to make sure there's an extra bottle of whiskey for him in the car. This way, darling. Through here, into the garage.
Give me your hand, Ronnie.
Now, darling, everything's going to be all right.
Just being with you. Ronnie.
Yes?
I saw something moving.
Where?
Over there. Behind the car.
Fred!
Hello. Thought I'd hurry things up by coming straight out to the garage.
Well, you gave us quite a start.
Why, Grace? Something on your conscience?
Well, the Pearsons will be on our necks if we don't get started soon. Well, in you go. We're off to the races.
But just try to pick the winner. We drove out to the road, the winding road that led down to the valley. I knew just the spot where I had to leave them. From there on, their only companion would be the man with the sickle. Slow down, Ronnie.
Huh?
I'm not going to picnic after all. My head's splitting.
But it's too late to drive you back, Fred.
You won't have to. I'll walk. Just let me out.
Very well.
But, Ronnie...
It's all right, Grace. We don't want Fred to have a miserable time at the picnic when we can settle things so much better this way.
Oh, thanks. I hate to run out on you, but I've got my health to think of.
Oh, sure. Oh, incidentally, there's a short cut back to the house through the fence there.
I don't see it.
Go on ahead. I'll turn the headlights on it.
Oh, thanks. Now, so long. Have a good trip. Where are you going?
Ronnie, you ran him down. You killed him.
That's what we wanted, isn't it?
But not here. Not out here on the road.
It'll look like a hit-and-run accident. We'll double back at the bottom of the hill and pretend we came from another direction.
Oh, we won't get away with it, Ronnie. It's no use. They'll catch us this time.
Snap out of it, Grace. Sorry, but you've got to get hold of yourself.
Yes, I must. I can't go all to pieces. My hands are trembling. Where are you going?
Take the wheel. You're going to drive.
No, I can't.
Now move over. Go on.
No.
Now drive. Your life depends on it. Both our lives.
I started down the steep zigzag road, and slowly my nerves relaxed. As the car swooped around the curves, I felt a strange acceleration.
Easy on these curves, Grace. It's a sheer drop if we go over the cliff.
Oh, are you scared now, Ronnie?
Well, I want to keep my neck in one piece.
You needn't worry. I'm a good driver. Fred always...
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Keep your mind on the road. There's a hairpin bend ahead of here. Hey, look out.
Okay, I see it. I pushed on the brake. The pedal went all the way to the floor, but nothing caught. Nothing.
No, Grace. Now, do you know what I was doing there in the garage? I disconnected the brakes.
He did it! Fred!
The fence, Grace. The
He
fence.
disconnected them!
Yes, Grace. I meant to kill you when Ronnie was with you.
Grace, slow down.
Oh, Ronnie, better take those things!
It's too late now. Long drop to the rut. See you soon, Grace.
Thought that company in crime made it easier, but it doesn't. Murder is a lonely business. A very lonely
business. One body lying crumpled in the middle of the road, and two more, the shattered wreckage of the car at the foot of the cliff. 3 people. Lonely no longer, as the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death plays host and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of Grace was played by Helen Shields. Wendell Holmes was her husband. Carl Emery, her lover. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This, I believe. Mrs. Tilly Burkhart started to earn her living scrubbing and cooking in other people's kitchens. Now, as a well-known caterer, she plans and prepares food for everything from small family parties to the most elaborate banquets in the city. She has worked hard to send her 4 children to college and 1 to medical school. Hers has been a life of sacrifice and the meeting of many problems. Here is the creed that guided Mrs. Burkhart.
I remember the day I first became aware of the simple fact that sometimes just a few wise words spoken at the right moment have a way of getting at the heart of life, of starting a person to think and to feel in a definite direction. That's the way it was with me. Both my parents died when I was 13, and I found myself transplanted from open farm country to a crowded city. I was to live with my mother's sister and her family of 5. That was that. The city closed in. I couldn't find the stars at night. I couldn't smell the dew in the morning. I couldn't talk to city people. Even God, who had always been near, was gone. Then one evening, as a neighbor started out to the tall building where she worked all night as a cleaning woman, she paused a moment on the steps where I was sitting, put her hand on my head, and said, "Life ain't all you want, but it's all you've got. So stick a daisy in your hat and be happy." Something happened. As I look at it now, it wasn't the thinking about what the woman said so much as the feeling it that moved me. The lift in her voice accepted challenge, not defeat. I went indoors and got the one thing I had that might help push back the four walls made painfully evident each night by a glaring light bulb. A candle which had stood by my bed in the country. The walls disappeared. Next morning, I took what I had, a pair of strong hands, a strong back, a strong will, and got a job cooking and scrubbing floors. Yes, a few words started me thinking and feeling in a definite direction. They made me see what I still believe after all this time. The present is more important than the past or the future. You must start where you are now with what you've got if life is to have meaning. I mentioned this conviction first because the rest of my beliefs follow from it. They aren't very complicated. As a matter of fact, they've grown right where I've worked most of my life, in other people's kitchen. I believe that if a person decides, whether suddenly on a sun-filled morning or painfully after personal tragedy, to start where he is with what he has, he will gradually discover he has certain gifts no one else quite has. Gifts which, if used well, have a way of helping other people, of bringing him close to his fellow man and to God at the heart of all. I don't mean he will ever have a step-by-step answer to life, that he will be protected from heartaches and trouble, but he will have a center to his being which will give much-needed balance. I have learned this as I worked. Somehow people like the bright warmth of a kitchen where there is always a pot of coffee on the stove, a fresh pie in the oven. They come in. They stop hurrying. They talk about life. It's funny, free as they are to become as individuals, what they can and what they will. There is a oneness about their doubts, their questions, their yearnings. It's the way they go about trying to find answers that make them different again. I've watched a lot of people through the years, done a lot of talking and listening, and I always seem to come back to the belief already expressed. Those who grasshopper about after what they wish they were chase wind, but those who use what they have and what they are usually find themselves, their place in the pattern, and God. They are the ones who can stick daisies in their hats and be happy.
That was Mrs. Tilly Burkhart, whose simple philosophy, perhaps even more than her famous food, has drawn people of all ages and from all walks of life to her kitchen in St. Louis.
What's the matter? What is it?
Another case for Nick Carter. Ask the detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, Master Detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
Records of Death. For Nick Carter and the mystery of the unclaimed box.
The fact of the matter is, Mr. Carter, that I have quite accidentally stumbled on a terrible crime. Or, to be more correct, I've stumbled on evidence that a terrible crime has been committed.
But even so, Mr. Field, why do you come to me with it? That sort of thing should be reported to the police.
Mr. Carter, what police would I report it to?
Where was the murder committed?
I don't know.
Well, how can you know that a murder's been done if you don't know where it was done?
Well, that's what makes this particular crime different from any other. Somewhere, sometime, a murder has been committed. Yet I don't know when or where. As a matter of fact, I doubt if anyone in the world knows of it, except those who did it, and me.
And how do you happen to know all this?
Because the victim, a young and beautiful girl, has told me so in her own words. I have the knowledge from her own lips.
Oh, and you've seen and talked to her?
Well, here's the story, Mr. Carter. About a month ago, I attended one of the sales of unclaimed packages that the Express Company holds twice a year. Among other things, I bought was a box about one-third the size of a steamer trunk. It contains some miscellaneous articles of clothing and 10 phonograph records.
Phonograph records, huh? Regular professional records?
No, Mr. Carter. They were small record blanks you buy when you make home recordings for yourself. I immediately played the records, and since then I've played them so often, I almost know them by heart.
And you learn about this crime from those records?
Yes.
Mr. Field, you wanted to arouse my curiosity. You certainly succeeded. When can I hear these records?
Immediately, Mr. Carter. I have them in my room. If you'll go there with me, we can listen to them at once.
Splendid. You mind if I take my assistant, Patsy Bowen, with me?
Of course not.
And as soon as she's ready, we'll go. Patsy!
Yes, sir?
Get your hat. We're leaving at once to listen to a murder.
This is the box, Mr. Carter.
Beautiful, isn't it? Now, Mr. Field, before we go further, there are a few things I should like to know. How long ago did you buy this box at the auction?
A little over a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the express company must have had it for about a year or so. Another thing. Were there any wrappings on the box when you bought it?
Yes, it was well wrapped in heavy burlap.
Do you have those wrappings now?
I'm sorry to say I don't. By the time I realized that the wrappings might have furnished a clue to the mystery, they'd been burned in the incinerator.
Too bad. Well, do you by any chance, whatever, recall the name and address to which the box was consigned?
Fortunately, I do. It was addressed to an Alex Delanois in New York City. But I've searched every city directory, every telephone book, every place where names are listed, and I can find no such name anywhere. There was no street address, and the rest of the label, as I remember it, was practically obliterated.
I see. All right, Mr. Field, let's listen to the records.
And gladly. I'm very anxious to get your opinion of them.
Are they in any kind of order?
After hearing them over and over as I've done, I believe that I've finally arranged them in their proper order.
I see.
They're so peculiar, I can hardly wait to see if you can tell me the answer. Here's the first one.
I have a terrible story to tell. But even while I try to tell it, I'm afraid that you who may listen to this will not believe me. But I beg you, if justice means anything to you, believe me and avenge me. I shall rest easier in my grave if I know that those who hope to profit from my death have been deprived of the fortune they plan to get by killing me. I am very rich, but I am not rich enough to avoid the fate that is in store for me.
She sounds as if she meant it, doesn't she?
I thought he was coming in, but he went away. I've tried several times to escape, but I've failed each time. I wish I could tell you where I am, but I can't, because I was drugged when they brought me here. Oh, I forgot to say, my name is Nancy Deering, and I'm 22 years old. You who listen to this will recognize the name at once, of course. I only hope they don't murder me until I can...
Is that the end of it?
Not quite.
He almost caught me that time. But now he's left me alone again. Maybe I can...
That's all. Apparently he came back before she expected him.
She certainly had plenty of trouble getting a story out of the records, didn't she?
Yes. She was interrupted many times, generally in the wrong places.
I imagine no trouble is too great if you're really desperate.
What a terrible feeling it must be to expect to be killed any minute.
Here's the second record, if you're ready.
Okay, Chief.
I don't know where I left off with my story last time, and I dare not play it back. If they should ever hear what I'm trying to do, they'd take the machine away from me. Then I'd be completely lost. I feel that my end is coming very soon now. They may carry out their plans to... In the gloaming, oh, my darling, when the lights are soft and low, and the flickering... I think he's gone now. I'm sure Ralph was listening at the door, but the singing apparently convinced him I was listening to the radio. When the time comes, I know it will be Ralph who kills me. Olive will undoubtedly help him, but Ralph is the leader. I found that out the other day when they tried to get me to sign the papers which will give them possession of my fortune. I shall never sign, but that... When the lights
The rest of the record is that song.
They did her best to get a story out of those records.
Too bad she didn't succeed better.
Well, she managed to get most of her story on the records, one way or another. The only thing she really missed out on was telling us more about herself than just her name.
Probably never occurred to her that the records might travel thousands of miles before someone would hear them.
Yeah, here's the third record.
Last night somebody searched my rooms while I was in bed. Maybe they suspect that I'm making these records. Although I'm very careful. I play the radio all the time, so they'll be used to hearing the noise. Ralph told me yesterday he was sure I was going crazy. Maybe I...
That's it. Olive asked me to tell you that.
And that ends that.
Whose voice do you suppose that was there at the end?
I suspect it was Ralph's.
It's amazing how much of the scene she recreates this way without really saying anything definite. To feel the tension and the suspense right along with her.
Yes. On the fourth record, she was able to get part of the visit that Ralph paid her one day. She must have known he was coming and prepared for it by putting the record blank in the machine in advance. Then, when she heard him at the door, she probably turned it on. Got this.
Well, put it on quickly, Mr. Field.
Here you are, Miss Bourne.
sister? Have you decided to sign over your fortune to me?
I told you long ago I'd never do that.
If you sign, we'll set you free, just as we promised.
You don't fool me, Ralph. The minute I sign my name to that paper you have there, you'll kill me. You know that as well as I do. You'll set me free. That's funny.
You don't know when you're well off, Nancy. If you did, you'd sign and go free.
You must think I'm a fool, Ralph.
I do. And I also think it won't be long before you wish you had signed.
Oh, I wish this were all over. I wonder how they'll kill me. Ralph would prefer to strangle me, I'm sure. With those great, hairy hands of his. As for Olive, here's she'd use poison over the...
That's all there is on that one.
It's a pity she couldn't have put more on each record than she did. She really used only a small portion of each blank.
Yes, Betsy, but she had trouble enough to get even that much on them, the way they watched her.
Nick, where could she get the blank records in the first place? They certainly wouldn't have let her have them knowingly.
If I were to make a guess, Betsy, I'd say that when they took her to the place where she was kept prisoner, they probably took along her clothes and some of her furnishings. And among them, probably, was this radiophonograph. Perhaps she specially asked for it because she loved music or something, and the record blanks were probably the machine along with the other records.
That could be. How about the fifth record, Mr. Field?
I've never been able to make much out of this one. Maybe you'll have better luck.
You mean it's not like the others?
Quite different. Here, I'll start it near the end. The whole first part is just scratch and nothing else.
What's the idea of locking her so? Nancy.
Where is she?
Nancy, come on out here.
She's hiding. Drag her out.
I'll find her. Find her.
No, bring her off here. What's there?
Come on there.
Come on, get her.
Now, the sooner you get her, the better.
No.
Give me that. Nearly got me that time, didn't you? Too bad for you. You didn't succeed.
Little devil, I'll fix you, but good.
Not very clear, is it?
Perfectly clear to me. Nan locked her door and started the record. For some reason, she waited before saying anything. Then Ralph and Olive came, found the door locked, and, being suspicious, broke it down. Nancy hid, and they dragged her out. There was an argument about something that I didn't get. Nancy grabbed Ralph's pistol and took a quick shot at him, but she missed. Before she could pull the trigger again, he took the gun away from her.
Good grief, Mr. Carter. It's clear enough when you tell it. Well, here's the sixth one.
I'm hurried. The time is very short. I may be interrupted any minute. I'm seldom left alone anymore. They seem to be afraid of what I'll do if I'm left alone. I wonder that they haven't killed me before this. I wonder if they...
There's nothing but scratch for quite a bit here, but she starts again.
Olive came in. I had to stop. Now she's gone for a few minutes at least. Yesterday I wrote a letter to my father and I threw it out the window, hoping someone would find it and mail it. But Ralph found it and brought it back to me and laughed at me. I keep asking him for news of my father, but he'll tell me nothing. If Father only knew where I am, he'd rescue me. Maybe if I can just...
And that's the end of that.
We didn't get much out of it.
I wonder where Father comes into this.
You'll see before we're through. And this seventh record is more interesting, because it records a complete conversation between Nancy and Ralph.
Good. Let's hear it.
Well, my dear Nancy, how are you today?
If you had your way, I'd be dead.
Why don't you kill yourself and save us the trouble?
You mean save you from having a murder on your conscience? You have such a thing?
Murder is a very ugly word, Nancy.
You're murdering me inch by inch every day that I stay here.
Well, I don't object to doing it that way if I can. If you ever throw anything at me like that again, I'll tie you out so you won't be able to move out of your chair.
Ralph, if you really want me to sign those papers for you, just let me go to my father. If you do, I'll sign anything you ask.
That's out of the question, Anne. But if you sign, We'll see that your father finds you soon enough. And it's only because I'm your half-brother that I offer you this.
You sneaking liar!
I'll show you this time.
No, please!
Next time I'll kill you. You weren't my half-sister. I do it right now. And I'd enjoy doing it. So don't tempt me too far. I might forget that your mother and mine were the same.
Please. Ralph. Will you get me a glass of water? Please, Al. Please.
Well, all right. But no tricks or I'll lose.
Oh, gosh, I wish we could have had more of that.
Yes. We might have learned something really important.
You will. Nancy knew the record was near the end, and that glass of water was merely an excuse to get Ralph out of the room while she put on a new one.
Good for her. She's a clever girl.
Oh, what a terrible ordeal she went through. Never knowing from one day to the next whether it was her last.
Quiet, Betsy, please.
Thank you. You were gone quite a long time.
I met Olive in the hall. She reminded me to tell you we've decided that unless you do as we want you to, you have just one more day to live. Just one.
Do you think that frightens me? I'll almost welcome death, because I know it's the only way I'll ever get away from you two. And I'm firmly convinced you'll never succeed in getting possession of my fortune.
Of course we'll get it. No doubt about that.
I don't think you will.
No?
No. That is, you won't get it unless you're planning on murdering my father, too. After you forged a new will for him to leave behind him.
Smart, aren't you? Guessed it the first time.
No. No, you wouldn't. You couldn't.
No, why not? He's not my father, and we want his fortune for ourselves.
I can't believe such inhuman creatures as you two really exist.
Our mother bore a strange lot of children, didn't she? On one hand, we have you, my saintly Nancy. And on the other hand, we have the twins, Olivet and me, who are anything but saintly. Yes, life is very strange sometimes.
Get out! Get out! Leave me alone! I gotta die to be with you!
That's an excellent idea, Nan. I'll be gone for about 15 minutes. If you're wise, you won't be alive when I return. Goodbye. I hope forever.
You heard what he said. It was the best evidence I could get. Ralph really made a full confession without knowing that every word he said was being preserved for you to hear. But my father, why was he died? Oh, I beg you, whoever you are, hear his words. If you can do anything to avenge our death, in heaven's name, do it. I go to my death believing that through you I shall have my revenge at last. Oh, please don't fail me. I see the record's coming to an end. Good night. Pray for me. Good night.
If you didn't know she was in deadly earnest, you'd almost think she was putting on an act.
I still feel terribly moved when I hear that record. She never had a chance, really.
Well, let's hear the next one. That's the 9th, isn't it?
Yeah, number 9 is almost a blank. Here it is.
They almost caught me that time. They mustn't do that because they might find the records I've already made and destroy them. They're both coming back in a few minutes, but maybe I can...
Is that all there is on that one?
That's all. That's the end of the record.
There's one more, isn't it?
Yes. Number 10. The first 2/3 of it's blank. It starts here.
Stand back, both of you. Wait, no, what do you see? I'm armed. You know I can shoot straight. I'll kill the first one of you to move.
That's my gun. Where did you get it?
Olive gave it to me so I can defend myself.
That's a lie. I didn't know it. What is it? You little son. You haven't waited much too long. This time you have. Well, that takes care of you. Olive.
Yes. Yeah. What happened?
The bullet just grazed your temple. Must have stunned you momentarily.
Oh. Is Nancy dead?
Yes. She's dead.
What do we do with the body? The old man will be here in a couple of hours. We don't want to be caught.
And that's the end of the last record.
Poor Nancy. She certainly got a tough break.
I truly believe that's the most remarkably told tragedy in history.
Well, Mr. Carter, have you got any ideas?
I have, but I'm not ready to talk about them yet.
Well, what's the next step now, Nick?
Well, first of all, Patsy, I want to examine the other contents of the box thoroughly. I can look them over more intelligently now that I've heard the records. Then I want to play those records over and over till I know them by heart.
And then?
Then I expect to be able to give you the answer to the problem. Got a sandwich in your pocket, Patsy?
Oh, Nick, I thought you'd never finish listening to those records.
Well, I wanted to be sure I didn't miss anything anywhere. And I believe I've learned everything those records could tell me.
You mean you really found some clues, Nick?
Yes, indeed, Patsy. There are several clues marked out for us very plainly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But first, I want to go over that list from here to the other things that were in that box addressed to Alex Delannoy.
Of course, Nick. Let me see now. Yes, here it is. Ultra cloak with label Felix and Company, Toronto. And a beautiful and expensive thing it was, too. Silk slip with the name Olivette Dupre pinned on it. Wish I could wear soap like that.
Patsy.
A silk slip with the name Nancy Deering pinned to it. A New Testament with the name Evangeline Dupre on the flyleaf. Several rings, all very valuable. A real pearl necklace. And some beautiful and very expensive lace. Also, of course, the blood-stained nightdress, which must have been the one that Nancy was murdered in.
And the 3 snapshots, of course.
Oh, yes. One with the name Olivette on the back, one with the name Ralph, and one with the name Evangeline Dupre Deering.
Whoever packed that box knew exactly what he was doing, Patsy. All ties together beautifully. He or she has given us all the clues he could to the people concerned in the affair.
Evangeline Dupre Deering must have been the mother.
Yes. She had 2 children, twins, Ralph and Olivette by her first marriage. Then she married Nancy's father, a man named Deering.
But that doesn't get us much nearer a solution, Nick.
No, but it does, Patsy. Did you notice that all the voices we heard in the records were American?
Well, yes, I guess they were.
And yet the names are mostly French, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Now, where do we find a combination like that around here?
Why, in Canada, I suppose.
Exactly. And the label on the opera cloak says Toronto, which confirms the Canada idea perfectly.
You mean that the Deerings lived in Toronto?
It's certainly quite logical to assume that the scene of the murder is Canada, and very possibly in the vicinity of Toronto. Well, we start there anyway. Maybe the Toronto police can help us.
But, Nick, even if you're right, it doesn't mean that the police would know anything about the murder. It was all done so secretly.
You're overlooking one thing, Patsy.
I am? Well, what is it?
The family from which these people came was a rich family, very rich indeed, if we may guess from the beautiful laces and from the jewelry and other things packed in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And remember also that Nancy's father was probably killed, too. Now, I can't believe that the head of a rich and probably well-known family could disappear without anyone knowing it.
You mean you think the police will know that something happened to him about a year ago, even if they don't think that there's anything wrong about it?
Exactly. So pack your bag, Patsy, and order a taxi to take us to the airport. We're flying to Toronto immediately.
I'm very happy to welcome you back to Toronto, Mr. Carter. It's been many years since you've been up here to see us.
Well, thanks very much, Chief. Now, you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Of course not. Go right ahead.
Did you get a letter about a year ago telling that a murder had been done, and that if you wanted proof, you should claim an express box sent to New York City in the name of Alex Delannoy?
Wait a minute. By George Carter, we did get just such a letter. But we thought it was the work of a crank and destroyed it. You mean it was true?
I have every reason to believe it was. Now, another question. Would you know anything about a girl named Nancy Deering, or about her father?
For heaven's sake, Carter, what do you know about the Deering family?
You answer my question first, I'll answer yours. Now, what about the Deering?
The father, Charles Deering, was the younger son of an English nobleman. Mm-hmm. He was immensely rich, had a house here in town, a country place called Deering Hall. He married a woman with 2 children, twins, I believe, and she died when his daughter Nancy was born. He was always prominent in local affairs up to about a year ago, when he's said to have disappeared. Hasn't been seen since. I understand he started for Deering Hall, but never arrived there, according to his two stepchildren.
What about his daughter, Nancy?
Nancy was brought up by relatives in Montreal. Few people here know her at all. But as I remember it, she was supposed to have disappeared just before her father did. Although I now understand that she was at Deering Hall with her half-brother and sister all the time.
You say Nancy didn't disappear after all?
I know. As a matter of fact, she was here in Toronto this past week. She believes her father is dead, so she's applied for letters of administration for the estate.
I thought so.
You did? What do you know about it?
Enough to know that this girl who calls herself Nancy Deering isn't Nancy Deering at all. She's an imposter whom the stepchildren have brought in to impersonate her. Chief, we got to get out to Deering Hall at once.
Into the Deering estate turns off somewhere right in here, Carter. I'm not quite sure.
Well, look, Chief. There's a man standing in the road up ahead.
Oh, so there is.
And he's motioning to us to stop.
He looks almost like a dwarf, doesn't he?
He's certainly a queer-looking individual.
Yes, perhaps you are going to the hall.
Yes, we are. Why?
Could you take me back there? I have walked so far, I am tired out.
Oh, of course. Climb in.
What? You are a policeman, no?
Yes, I am.
Oh, then you can help me. And I need help so very much.
What seems to be the trouble?
My name is Alex Delanois. I am the...
Alex Delanois?
But yes, you know me.
You once had a box packed with records and other things to New York City addressed to yourself?
Oh, but yes, you have seen it.
Yes, that's why we're here. Tell me, how did you ever happen to...
Yes, I will tell you everything. I was the caretaker at the hall. Miss Deering let me stay in one of the old tower rooms because I am, as you see, a cripple. Sometimes I do not get out of bed for days at a time. About a year ago, the two stepchildren, those so very wicked devils, came to the hall. They brought a girl who was kept a prisoner in one of the bedrooms.
Alex, isn't that the road to the hall just ahead there?
Oh, but yes, the hall is about a half a mile in off this road.
Go on with your story, Alex.
Yeah, the girl was so carefully guarded by those two, I could not get to her room. I could not help her. I am a cripple.
No, you did what you could, Alex. You being there helped her, I know.
How did you manage to get the things packed in the box?
After they killed Nancy, they did not guard their room so carefully. I got in, I took the records and the other things and packed them in the box. A fisherman I know up by the lake sent the box by express for me. I wrote to the police in Toronto and in New York and told them what had happened, and asked them to claim this box. But I am afraid they did not do it.
No, we didn't. We thought the letter was just a hoax.
What about Nancy's father?
The day after Nancy was killed, he came here, and they tried to kill him too.
Tried to? You mean they didn't succeed?
No, not quite. They hit him on the head with a pistol and threw him into the lake from the high cliff. But I saw them do it, and I rescued him. I took him to my room and nursed him myself until he could get a doctor.
How is he now?
Well, he's about well now, I think.
There's the house right ahead, Nick.
Drive right up to the door, Chief. I'll go ahead. You keep in the background in case they know you.
Okay, Carter. But I'll be right behind you.
Alex, you and Patsy stay here in the car.
Oh, but of course.
Sure, Nick.
Yes? What is it, please?
Please tell Miss Deering that we've come to take some affidavits concerning her application as administratrix for the estate.
Yes, sir. Well, come in, please. I'll announce you.
It's your turn now, Chief. I'll stand here one side of the door, just in case.
I can handle them, Carter.
Maybe, but they're going to be quiet. Here they come.
Well, gentlemen, what can we do?
Out of way, I arrest you and your sister Olivette for the murder.
I'll take that gun to fight with me.
Oh, no, you don't, lady. This pair of handcuffs will take care of you. Need any help, Carter?
No, I can take care of him.
Nice work, Carter. Pair of handcuffs on him. They'll both keep safely till we can put them behind the bars.
And we can now restore Deering Hall to its rightful owner once more. Even though it's almost a year later, the box that Alex Delanois packed has fulfilled its destiny.
the strange adventures of Nick Carter, Master Detective, which are brought to you regularly at the same time by WOR Mutual. What's your story going to be about next week, Nick?
Well, next week I'm going to tell you the tale of the thief and murderer who had to be caught twice before he was really caught at all.
And when Nick caught him the second time, it was because he was able to guess in advance exactly what the criminal was going to do, as well as exactly what he was going to think.
And what did you say the crime was?
Merely a matter of murder and robbery.
There was nothing unusual in the crime itself. The excitement came in the way Nick chased him, outsmarted him, and finally caught him.
It's a very special example of the criminal who was just a little too clever for his own good.
He overrated himself and underrated Nick.
That's always dangerous where Nick Carter is concerned.
Thanks for the compliment. And so long till next week.
So long, everybody.
And so long to you both. In the strange adventure you've just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate. Original music was played by Lou White, and the entire production was written and directed by Jock McGregor. Next week at the same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
The Unwilling Accomplice, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Society Burglar.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. This is Mutual.
This, I believe. Tyrone Guthrie is an Anglo-Irish theater producer. Early in his career, he found that his great height, 6'5", was too much of a handicap on the stage. So he changed to production work and became the youngest producer of the Old Vic. Now, at 51, he has a reputation as an administrator of the Old Vic and Sadler's Wells, a Shakespearean producer, and a BBC broadcaster. Here is Tyrone Guthrie.
If you go sufficiently far north on this planet, you will eventually arrive at the North Pole. Then if you continue moving in the same direction, you will paradoxically find that you're moving south. Analogies can be misleading, but I think this polar axis analogy can be usefully applied. It isn't only physically that we can find ourselves going south when we think we're going north. Heat isn't really, but only logically, the antithesis of cold. They're both degrees of the same quality of matter. Similarly, light and dark are degrees of another quality, poles of another axis. In my job, I work in the theatre, one's nose is constantly and rather forcibly being rubbed in the contrast between success and failure. But the odd thing is they've come to seem to me aspects of the same thing, not opposites, but poles of the same axis. I don't mean that a successful career is indistinguishable from failure. Of course it isn't. But success in one department of life is only achieved at cost of failure elsewhere. The spectacularly successful career, for instance, at the expense of home life or health or peace of mind. Also, just as a plant cannot simultaneously put great energy into the formation of root, flower, and seed, so a life that is most successfully flowering will probably not at the same moment be very securely rooted in the past. Nor may these flowers produce the seed of future success. Great men, have you noticed, great men scarcely ever have great sons. The epitome of the paradox about success and failure was the agonizing and final failure of a worldly career at Calvary. In the sphere of ethics, I cannot now believe in absolute good and absolute evil. They seem to be poles of a moral axis, and what is good in one context may very well be evil in another. What is good behavior for me may be bad behavior for you. This, I realize, commits me to believing that the personifications of good and evil, God and the devil, are merely aspects of the same idea. This seems highly unorthodox, and I'm trying to adjust myself to it. Meantime, I hold on to the idea that if one cannot believe in absolute good and evil, there are still valuable checks to conduct in the social conventions. No one but a fool will flout the conventions of the society in which he lives without serious thought. As an aim in life, I don't look to happiness, for instance, because I can't regard happiness as the opposite of unhappiness. Both are an adjustment two emotional circumstances, one positive and one negative. But as in the case of success and failure, in my experience, the positive and negative states are indistinguishable. Happiness is always shot through with agony, misery never unalleviated. Our natures, it seems, are a delicately balanced mechanism. Equilibrium is preserved by an elaborate system of compensations. I believe our end and aim should be to seek for equilibrium between the different aspects of our own nature and a balanced adjustment of ourself to the particular other tiny fragments of the universe with which we're in contact. Even though we don't yet know how this balance works, nor why.
That was Tyrone Guthrie, the British theatrical producer, a man who loves experiment and change in his work.
Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. You know, stories start out in many different ways. Tonight's story started when I walked into a nice little guy's private world and it blew up right in my face.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
When the streetcars and the subways spill out their thousands of tired ones who scurry off into a million directions to find home, that's where my job begins. I start walking, looking for my story so that you can read about it in your morning newspaper and feel good because it didn't happen to you. Tonight I got my story fast. Just walking down Madison Street, west, away from the center. I kept walking past the shooting gallery, the nickel arcade with the peep shows and the fortune-telling machines, the jukebox taverns. Madison Street, the quick route to happiness with the world's worst hangover. And then straight ahead of me was Pop Gordon's training gym. That's where the public pays 30 cents to watch fellas training to beat each other's brains out. You know, when I got inside, it looked like just one of those fights. And then I heard one voice over the others. It was a voice I knew.
Somebody call the cops and get that punchy loon out of here.
You yellow, stupid bum fella, you laughed at me.
What's the matter, Pop?
Randy.
Yeah.
This crazy owl's gone clear off his rocker.
Oh, that's Billy.
Somebody call the cops.
Wait a second, Pop. He's all right.
Sure. Listen to him.
Kill you. Anybody lays a glove on me gets killed. You
Only one place for a loon like that in a bughouse. I'm going to get the cops and have this owl tied up.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Pop. Let me talk to him.
Randy, stay away from that lug. 5 of us couldn't hold him.
He knows me.
Randy, the guy's gone nuts. I tell you.
Yellow, like I said, everybody's scared of getting the
Hey,
same
Billy! Billy!
What?
Hi, Billy. How's it going?
You coming in with me?
No, sure. Make me a big man getting into the same ring with a champ.
Well, that's me, champ. And you're a toe-bed bum.
Well, that's a thumbnail description if I ever heard one.
Admit it. The truth. A two-bit bum. Admit it.
I admit it, Billy.
Yeah, but you don't mean it. You're laughing at me like the rest of them. You're laughing at me.
Billy, I never laughed at you in my life.
You're laughing. Well, I'll show you what happens to anybody who laughs at Billy the Kid.
As the world flew away in all directions, I dimly remembered how the sports writers used to speak so respectfully of Billy's fast left hand. But, brother, if they knew what I just found out about his right. When the fog finally cleared, Pop Gordon was bending over me, and there were a lot of other faces, too. But I didn't see Billy when I stood up.
You okay, Randy?
Oh. This is being okay. I don't want any part of it.
He slugged you, but good.
Where is he?
He took off before the cops come. Took off before anybody could grab him.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. I let that bum come in the gym and sit around. Everybody else gets 30 cents, but him, I let him free. What's he do, huh? What's he do? He busts loose, he blows his top.
But why? What happened to Billy?
Oh, I don't know. Tonight I catch him putting a bite on my customers. 2 bits here, a dime there.
Billy was panhandling?
Sure. Like I said, I didn't like it, so I tell him.
And then what?
I don't know. I'm over at the other side of the gym. I hear somebody laugh, and the next thing I know, the owl's swinging like a windmill. He's going to kill everybody just for being around. He ought to be tied up.
Uh-huh, just like that, huh?
Yeah, he ain't safe.
What do you want, the Black Mariah to come around, cart him away like a load of rubbish?
Yeah, but for his own good.
Oh, Pop.
Yeah.
Remember when he was champ? He packed him in every club where he fought. He had $1 or $5 for anybody who held out a hand.
So? What are you getting at?
Well, now he's got no one, Pop, and now he's out in the cold.
Yeah. Oh, I'll forget the cops. But we still got to put him away.
Well, all right, sure, but let's do it as painless as possible. I'll keep him with me tonight, and then tomorrow...
You going after him?
Yeah, which way to go?
Straight up the streets, but watch out, Randy. He blows his lid.
Yeah, I know, don't worry. I don't want any rematch. I'd like to know why he blew his lid in the first place, and my jaw in the second place. I'd known Billy a long time. A sweet, gentle guy who always seemed to be living in a world all of his own. A world that nobody else knew about and cared less. And now he was in trouble. In his mood, he might hurt someone, or worse, he might get himself hurt. I must have walked for half an hour before I finally spotted him. He was standing on a corner. I stopped and watched him for a couple of minutes. I watched his hesitant and embarrassed panhandling. Then I walked over to him slowly. Hello, Billy.
What? Oh, hiya, Randy, old pal, hiya.
You want some company?
Oh, sure.
Good.
Randy, where you been keeping yourself? I ain't seen you for a couple of weeks.
You haven't seen me for a couple of weeks?
Well, I thought maybe you'd forget an old pal, huh?
Oh, you're not the kind of a fellow one forgets, champ. Mm-mm. Now, what was the trouble back at the gym?
Gym? What gym?
Pop Gordon's.
Pop's place?
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I gotta help Pop. He's a good Joe, you know. He never charges me nothing.
Now, hold it a second, Billy. Hold it.
Yeah?
Weren't you at the gym tonight?
Oh, no, not tonight. I've been here.
And you didn't, massage my chin?
You giving me a rib? Well, what you looking at me for like that, Randy?
Forget it, Billy.
You was just ribbing, huh?
Oh, sure. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I like ribs. I'm not giving a hot foot, nothing like that. But funny ribs that don't hurt nobody.
No, sure. Can I ask you a $64 question?
Well, sure not. You can ask me anything, Randy, anything.
I saw you a minute ago, Billy.
What?
I never seen you ask for a touch before.
I ain't never gonna do it no more, but Randy, I got it tonight. I gotta get a few bucks. Maybe 15. I already got $2. Maybe.
Why do you need $15?
What? I gotta get a new suit.
A new suit? What's so special about tonight, Billy?
What, there's something I gotta do. I just gotta do it, Randy. I gotta have 15, but... Hey, them scars.
Hey! Is that you, Randy?
Yeah? Oh, Sullivan!
Yeah.
Randy, don't let him pick me up for panhandling, please.
No, I won't,
please
Billy. Now, you wait here. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Hey,
that's Billy back there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Sullivan. Why?
Heard you had a little trouble with him back at the gym. Maybe we ought to put him in the tank for the night, keep him out of trouble, huh?
Look, Sullivan. He's going away tomorrow for a long time.
Oh, like that, huh?
Yeah, that's it. This is his last night out.
Yeah, I see. Okay, good. That's the way I do it myself. I'll see you around, Randy, but keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I'll watch him like a hawk. Thanks, Sullivan. So long.
What they say, Randy, they ain't gonna pick me up for mooching, are they? They ain't going.
No, of course not. Look, Billy, how'd you like to come to my apartment for a while?
Oh, I can't. I told you I gotta get $15.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Well, I gotta get it tonight. Now I gotta get a new suit because.
Yeah, go on. Why?
I can't be wearing this crummy rag when I see her. Not when I see her.
I didn't know what he meant. But whatever had made him go crazy at the gym, whatever had made him hit me was tied in with her. Who she was, I didn't know, and I Wasn't sure that he knew. I finally talked him into going to my place, and when we went in, I watched that slow, gentle smile come over his face.
Hey, this place is A number 1.
Yeah. Sit down, Billy.
I ain't got much time.
Just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, okay. I'm awful tired, Randy. Seems like a lot of things has happened tonight, you know. I'm kind of tired, sir.
Want a drink, Billy?
Oh, no. I never touch it, you know that.
Yeah. And you never panhandled before.
Well, I ain't going to do that no more just tonight. I never bummed off for nobody. I paid my own way. Come anything, I paid my own way.
Yeah, that's why I want to know why you're putting the bite on people tonight.
I ain't going to tell you. You'll laugh.
I won't laugh.
You will. Somebody else laughed when I told it. Somebody laughed, and well, when somebody laughs at me, I don't like it.
All right, easy, Billy. Easy. Come on.
I tell you, I got to get $15. Hey, look at this.
What's that, Billy?
I cut it out of the paper today. I seen it. Hey, you take a look at it, huh? You read what it says.
All right. Mrs. Walter Compton and her husband...
Yeah? Yeah, go on. There's more.
Prominent society leaders of New York will be in town tonight. They're staying at the lake shore and...
I can't go there in this crummy rag.
Well, why do you have to see her?
What? Well, I got to tell her something. It's getting late, Randy. I got to get...
I'll lend you the $15, Billy.
You? Oh, no. No, I pay my own way.
Well, pay it back whenever you get a job.
No, I don't want any handouts.
It's just a loan, Billy. It's a loan.
What? Thanks, Randy. You're a champ.
Now, tell me why you got to see her.
You ain't gonna laugh? I can take anything but that, anything.
I won't laugh, Billy.
No, I guess you wouldn't. Okay. You remember once I was champ? Huh?
Oh, everybody knows you were champ. Now, what about her, Mrs. Compton?
Yeah. Well, it's one night after a fight, see? I ain't champ yet, but I'm punching right up to the top, see? Okay, but this one fight, she ain't there, so I go to see her at her place. She's there. And so when
Who's that?
It's me, Billy. Where are you?
Yeah, in a minute.
Sure. Hey, I win tonight. I said I win tonight, Edna.
Yeah, I heard on the radio.
Well?
Well, what?
It don't mean a thing?
Sure. Means a lot, I guess.
You guess. A kid for $1 who's going to marry the next middleweight champ, you sure take things like a lump of ice.
Yeah.
Edna, anything wrong?
No.
Oh, there is.
Okay, something's wrong. Have it your way.
You wasn't at the fight tonight, baby. I looked for you. It took me 3-4 rounds to get going because I didn't see you.
You won.
Oh, kid, look at me.
Sure. The eye got torn open again, huh?
Oh, that's nothing. Collodion fixed it.
Collodion fixes everything, huh? Get cut up, use collodion. That's nice. That puts you all together again. How long do you think you'll stay together?
What's eating on you, honey? The last 2-3 weeks.
The last 2-3 weeks. The last 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's right.
I hate it.
You hate what?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, kid, what's wrong?
You and me.
I don't get it.
The only thing you do get is a measly few bucks for getting your head knocked off.
Oh, I'm a fighter,
So you're
honey.
a fighter. All right, fight. But count me out.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for him to carry you home.
Me? Me?
It can't happen, huh?
Well, all of a sudden you start blowing your top.
It's not all of a sudden. You said it. You said there was something wrong for the last 2-3 years.
Okay, spill it.
I'm through, Billy. Washed up. Finished.
What?
You and me. Done.
Since when?
Since right now.
Oh, baby, it's just the eye. You see me this way and you...
The eye.
Don't laugh at me, Edna. Don't laugh at me. I take anything but being laughed at.
It is a laugh.
Oh, now listen,
You listen.
honey.
I don't care if you get punched all over the state. I don't care if you get your brains rattled so hard. It's
Edna.
me I care about from now on.
Okay. So I'll be champ. So you'll get your fur coats.
Not from you. Not from a guy who's beginning to look like a punching bag instead of a man. Look at me. Take a good look.
I am. Yeah, I am.
I got looks. I got class. I can do all right.
I still don't get it.
All right, I'll lay it on the line for you. Want me to?
Go ahead.
I'm not going to turn myself to a punchy character. I'm not going to have to walk in nice places with a guy whose face is... Well, look at her. Go on, take a look in the mirror. You see what I
mean? You want me to quit?
I don't care if you do or not, because it's too late, Billy. It's too late.
Edna, you shouldn't say things. Please, Edna, don't. That's the way it was, Randy. That's the way it was.
Yeah, I see. Look, Billy, you don't want to go and see her after that?
I tell you, Randy, I gotta see her. There's something I gotta tell her, and it's gotta be tonight because tomorrow she'll be gone.
Billy, how do you know that she'll see you?
Oh, I know, because there's something I ain't told you. There's something I ain't never gonna tell nobody. And, Randy, please, don't try to stop me. Please don't let nobody try to stop me because if they do, I'll kill them.
You are listening to Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Billy said he'd kill anybody who'd try to stop him from seeing Mrs. Walter Compton. I looked at his scarred face and into his eyes. A wild fever you see in the eyes of a dog everyone says is mad, but only wants a drink of water. And then...
I guess I shouldn't have said that, Randy.
Well, let's forget it for a minute, Billy. Now tell me, why do you want to see her?
You don't understand dames, huh?
No, my mother never told me.
Well, she gives me the brush, see, like that. She gives me the brush, but she does it for me, see? She don't want me to get my brains knocked out, see?
Yeah, I'm beginning to see, Billy.
Sure. But me, I got no sense, so I don't see it her way. So I let her walk out, and I don't see her no more. Not until I get hold of that paper today.
And tonight you want to see her. To say what, Billy?
Well, but don't you see? She loves me. All these years, she never lets up. And I want to tell her it's okay, that maybe her and me, we can start all over like, see? What's the matter, Randy?
Nothing, Billy. Look, don't let anybody kid you, pal. You're still champion.
Oh, I ain't nothing. But, I gotta go now. I gotta get $15 for a
Now, look, you're tired. You need a shave. Maybe take a shower. You thought of that?
No.
All right, now you wait here and take a shower and a shave, and I'll bring a suit back for you. Is that a deal?
Oh, gee, you're a champ, Randy. You're a real champ.
I might be gone for a little while, Billy, but when I come back, everything will be okay. Sure. Okay. There was only one thing for me to do, go and see Mrs. Walter Compton. I made sure that Billy couldn't leave my apartment. I locked the door from the outside. I didn't want him picked up before he had the chance to see her. To see the woman around whom he'd built a whole world of fantasy in which he'd lived for so many years. I didn't want that world to come down around his ears. My newspaper pass got me in to see Mrs. Walter Compton in her suite at the lakeshore.
You're Mr. Stone?
Yes, I am, Mrs. Compton.
You're from the newspaper.
Well, I'm not on newspaper business, Mrs. Compton. Not tonight. This is more personal.
Really? Well, what can I,
Do for me? Nothing.
Then please get to the point, Mr. Stone. My husband will be here shortly with guests.
How soon?
An hour. Why?
Well, because it concerns someone you used to know.
Really? Who?
Billy Candell.
Billy Candell?
Yes, he was better known as Billy the Kid, once middleweight champion of the world.
Oh, I'd forgotten. And I was glad to.
Mrs. Compton, he's coming here tonight to see you.
What? He's coming? How stupid can you get?
Well, for a lot of people, it's not hard to be stupid or heartless.
Yours must be a rather sentimental column, Mr. Stone.
Yes, it's about people.
You'd better go.
Look, please see, Billy, what can you lose?
It's out of the question.
Listen, all he wants is to tell you something. He wants to tell you that he knows that you still love him.
What? Oh, no.
Oh, now listen to me, please. Now, tomorrow he's going to... Well, he's going where he can rest. He's sick, Mrs. Compton. He's desperately sick.
Let's not be so polite. The word is punch-drunk, I believe. You want me to see a lunatic?
No, he's not. And I'll be here when he comes. We'll keep it between us three.
Do you know what you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking you to give a guy a few minutes of his world. Make it real for him. Tell him anything. Tell him you still love him. Then he'll go away. After tomorrow, you'll never see him or hear from him again.
You're asking me to receive that thing and to bring him into this hotel where everyone can see him? Do you know what that means?
Well, to him, yes.
I'm talking about myself. Myself, Mr. Stone.
Yes, I'd like to get off that subject for a moment.
It's the only subject that matters.
If you don't see him, he'll crack up all the way.
That happened long ago. Good evening, Mr. Stone.
3 minutes of your time.
I said no. Did you hear, Mr. Stone? I said no.
Okay, lady, I'm going. Thank you for everything. It's been lovely.
You needn't be sarcastic, Mr. Stone.
Oh, needn't I be? Look, Queenie, I got a little spot announcement for you. Billy owes you a vote of thanks. You'll never know it, but you gave him the biggest break of his life when you walked out on him years ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, positively. Tonight you're giving him even a bigger break.
Tell me about it, Mr. Stone.
Yes, I'll tell you. The only thing that poor guy's got left is his memory of a girl named Edna. Any resemblance between that memory and you was strictly coincidental. Goodbye. I was glad to get out into the fresh air. All the way back to my apartment, I kept thinking of what I'd tell Billy, how I'd tell him. Then as I walked across the lobby toward the elevator...
Mr. Stone, Mr. Stone!
What is it, Charlie?
Here's a message for you.
Okay.
Here you are, Mr. Stone.
Thank you. How long ago he leave this?
Oh, what, just a few minutes after you left. Did you know you'd left him locked in? He called down. He asked me to open the door.
Yeah, did he say where he was going?
No. Just that he couldn't wait for you any longer.
Oh, that is on the note. How'd he look?
How'd he look?
Well, I mean, anything unusual about him?
No, he had on one of your suits, I remember now. That pinstripe one. He must have stolen it.
No, he didn't steal anything. Now, listen to me. I'm going to the Lakeshore Hotel. If he comes back here, get in touch with me there. Mrs. Compton's suite.
Mrs. Compton's suite, yes.
Oh, and listen, I think you'd better call the police. But as for Kalski, remember that Kalski? Tell him to meet me at the Lakeshore Hotel and quick. I took a cab, and I took the shortest way to the lakeshore. I watched the pavements looking for Billy, but I didn't see him. He had some money on him, and he must have taken a cab himself. And then I was back at the lakeshore talking with the clerk at the desk there.
Yes, sir. There was a man here of that description. He asked that a call be put through to Mrs. Compton's suite.
And was it?
Well, sir, he was a rather... Well,
yes, I know. So he didn't get through.
Oh, I called Mrs. Compton's suite myself and told her. That is, I described the man.
Yes, go ahead. What'd she say?
That on no account was I to put him through or send him upstairs.
Oh, well. Okay, that's something. What'd he do then?
He left immediately.
Which way?
Oh, I'm afraid I didn't notice, sir. I was registering some new guests, and I paid no attention.
Okay, thank you very much. I had to find Billy before... Well, before what? What would he do? Where would he go? I asked myself those questions as I walked slowly along, watching for him, hoping to see that pathetic figure in my pinstripe suit, hoping I'd get to him before someone else stopped him. I was afraid of what might happen or could happen. And then I saw him, just past the Lakeshore Hotel, shambling slowly along, his shoulders hunched against the wind that cut in off the lake. I ran and caught up with him. Billy!
What? Oh, hi, Randy.
Hi.
What you doing over here?
Oh, I just, looking around. Why'd you leave my apartment?
What? Oh, well, you was gone so long, and I had to get going, see.
Oh, sure. Come on, let's walk.
Yeah. Hey, I borrowed one of your suits. It's a real champ suit, all right. You mind, huh?
No, Billy, none at all. Did you see her?
Oh, sure.
What? You did?
I see her.
Billy, they wouldn't let you go up, remember?
Oh, yeah, but I went up the back.
The back, Billy. Now look at me. Are you sure?
Oh, sure. And she still loves me, right? I said everything was okay. She's crazy about me like she always was.
What did she tell you?
Well, she didn't want to talk to me. You know how she is. But then I told her I love her, and she loves me.
Yeah? Billy?
I'm tired, Randy. Lots of things happened tonight. Lots of things.
Yeah, I know. What do you say we go someplace for coffee?
Yeah, I'd like that. I'm awful tired. And when I get real rested good, I'll go back to see her. Her and me, we'll start over again. Hey, this is where she lives, you know.
Yeah.
Look, I gotta see her once more, Randy. Maybe she'll talk to me this time, huh?
Not tonight anymore, Billy.
But I want her to talk to me.
Well, why don't you?
Yeah, she will. She loves me.
Billy, now listen to me. You let me go up there first. I'll talk to her and fix everything, okay?
Well, tell her not to act like a kid. Tell her to talk to me.
Yes, sure. I'll tell her, but you must put...
Hey, Stone?
Yes, Kolsky?
You put in a call for us?
Oh, yes, I did. It's okay now. I found him.
What'd she call the cops for, Randy?
Oh, Kolsky's not a cop. He's a pal of yours.
Huh?
He thinks you're the greatest fighter that ever lived. He always wanted to talk to you about your big fight.
Oh, sure. But we're busy now. I'll talk to you about it later, Kolsky. I gotta see somebody.
Billy, I promised you I'd see her, remember?
You're gonna tell her I'll be waiting?
Sure. Now, you just stay with Kolsky here. Tell him about the night you won the belt.
Anything the matter, Stone?
No. Just keep him here. I'll answer questions later. Now, Billy.
Yeah?
Promise me you'll stay right here.
You won't stay long, huh? Just tell her she loves me and I want her to talk to me.
Sure, I will. Okay, now you wait here. I didn't think it would do any good to see her again, but I wanted to give Billy a good memory to take along. I saw her all right, but she didn't talk to me either. I went back downstairs and out to the street. I hadn't been gone more than 5 minutes, but they were the longest 5 minutes of my life. Brother, I was beat.
Hey, Rhonda, you see her, huh? You see her?
Yeah, I saw her, Billy.
What did she say? You tell me what she said, huh?
Well, I told her.
Hey, Stone, how long does this go on? This is a proud car, not a brush.
Yeah, we're coming along with you.
What's the idea?
Get in the back, Billy.
Yeah. I'm kind of tired. I'd kind of like to ride to your place, Randy.
Sure. Take us to the precinct, Carlson.
Listen, Randy, did you see his girl?
Yes, I saw her, but she didn't talk to me either. I guess she laughed once too often. She's dead.
Huh?
All right, now just take it easy, Skalski. The poor guy doesn't even know that he killed her. 4 a.m. and the lights are going out all over the city. Even those neon signs on Madison Street. I've got to write my piece and put it in the slot, but what can I say? The story of a one-sided love? Well, if that's what love does to you, I'll stick to pinochle. It's a funny thing about love, isn't it? Let someone get up and talk about hate, and he's hailed as a new leader. Let him speak of love, and he's ridiculed, he's spat upon, and even nailed to a cross. Love is the greatest thing, the oldest yet the latest thing. Yeah. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, a new dramatic series, stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Tonight's story was written by Russell Hughes. Night Beat is edited by Larry Marcus and directed by Warren Lewis. Music by Frank Worth. The part of the prize fighter was played by Bill Conrad. Others in tonight's cast were Lorene Tuttle, Bill Lally, Larry Dobkin, and Leo Cleary. Frank Lovejoy will next be seen in Milton Sperling's production Rock Bottom, released by Warner Brothers. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. The stories that come out of the shadows to find their way into Night Beat. There's another great action-packed program you'll enjoy listening to on NBC every Sunday. It's Christopher London with Glenn Ford in the title role. Christopher London was created especially for radio by the world's most widely read mystery writer, Earl Stanley Gardner. You'll truly enjoy this fast-moving mystery adventure series when you tune to NBC next Sunday on most of these same NBC stations. Stay tuned for Brian Donlevy and Dangerous Assignment on NBC.
This, I believe. Upton Sinclair is one of the most prolific of modern American writers. Ever since the publication of his novel, The Jungle, he has become popularly known as the King of the Muckrakers. He has also been a newspaperman and sporadically a political figure. Upton Sinclair takes time out from writing his newest novel, Lanny Budd, to bring us his creed.
I hesitate to talk about myself. It has taken my beloved wife more than 40 years to instill in me the idea that egotism is a dangerous thing, and that even the appearance of this evil should be avoided. But here is the story of what I believe about myself relative to the world I have lived and toiled in for more than half a century. I shall confess at the start that I was born an idiot, like everyone else. But in the course of time I developed a modicum of brains so that I arrived at a new era of my life. I call this the era of complete knowledge because during this time I was sure that I knew everything. The first awakening from this dream came from one of my teachers in college who called me an insolent young puppy. Another awakening came from President Theodore Roosevelt, who had invited me to lunch at the White House to talk to him about my novel, The Jungle, which had stirred up a worldwide cyclone. He said later to my publisher, "Tell that young man to go home now and let me run the country." I have been asked how I feel about a life work of pulling against the current. Though it did feel that way most of the time, I believe that the stream of history was always with me and that now it has caught up with me. Today that stream is rushing fast, but it does not cause me to fear or despair. Perhaps this is because I am heir to a family tradition. My family was once called the Fighting Sinclairs because so many of them had been in the Navy. I was brought up on the tradition of willingness to die, if necessary, in the cause of freedom. There was another strong influence in my young life which was somewhat different from the spirit of the Navy. It was the Protestant Episcopal Church of America. I became a devout little Episcopalian at 13 or so and went to church every day during Lent. I taught a Sunday school class and took all my youthful problems to a young clergyman for solution. There was a wholesome, warm-hearted zeal for righteousness in him which deeply impressed everyone, especially the 50 or so youngsters who were his special concern. When I was an adult writer, I joined the ranks of the men and women who in those days were called the muckrakers. I have been a muckraker ever since. I was dangerous to the targets of my exposés, but I was never a communist and I was never an advocate of violence. I had won my victories by exposing evils, and I have continued ever since to use a pen instead of a sword. The result is that as the years of my life have passed, I have learned to love the democratic process more and more as the means to the end of social welfare and progress. Bernard Shaw wrote, "When people ask me what has happened in my long lifetime, I do not refer them to the newspaper files and to the authorities, but to Upton Sinclair's novels. I live today in a changed America. I believe that my books and my life helped to change it.
That was Upton Sinclair, a native of Baltimore, who now lives and works in Pasadena, California.
The makers of Camel Cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. Listen to this convincing proof of Camel mildness. Hundreds of men and women from coast to coast smoked only Camels for 30 days. Every week, leading throat specialists made thorough examinations of their throats. The throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. Start your own 30-day Camel mildness test. Let your throat tell you how mild Camels are, day after day. Then you'll know why Camel is by far America's most popular cigarette. Here transcribed is Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Cats and dogs. A busy day for the Humane Society. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a... Music critic. Diamond Detective Agency. We solve all crimes. We frown on sin. But the weather is awful and we'd rather stay in.
Who wouldn't?
Oh, hi, Helen.
Hi.
Did you like that slogan?
Yeah. It gives me an idea. I want to report a crime.
Well, hide the body till tomorrow, dear. It's raining.
You can lose your license with an attitude like that.
Oh, baby, you certainly know where I'm ticklish. Where's the crime?
You're still single. So am I.
Well, in your case, that is a crime, and mine's just a misdemeanor. Anyway, I can't discuss an assignment I'm still working on.
I'll help you solve it. I want to give myself up.
Sorry, no case.
Why not?
I've seen you in an evening dress. Nobody could pin anything on you.
Would it interest you to know the piano tuner is here and very good looking?
Pulling wires will get you nowhere. Is my picture still on the piano? The one where I look like a tough detective?
No, I threw it in the fireplace. I love to sit by the fire and dream of you. Besides... Oh, did it thunder down there?
Yeah. Small world, isn't it? I've got to hang up, dear. I've got work to do.
Well, come over tonight. You can try the piano and my patient. What work have you got to do?
Have to fill my lighter and dry my shoes.
What are you talking about?
Well, I smashed my car up in a collision and had to walk to work. Work, he said, smiling through his tears.
Where's your car now?
In Larson's garage.
You need a rich wife who can give you a chauffeur.
Hang up, doll. You're getting too near my price. Bye.
Bye.
I looked at the door, hoping a wealthy client with an easy case would walk in. When that Connecticut car with a lemon-headed driver folded my fenders an hour before, I knew I was in for a repair job that would spring my bill clip. So I called the garage to see whether I should start saving up for it or just jump out of the window.
Larson's garage.
Larson? Diamond speaking. How does it look?
Looks like you're going to be a pedestrian for about 3 weeks, Mr. Diamond. But it ain't all bad. The frame's out of line only a couple inches.
Save the silver lining for the brake drums, Junior. You never call me Mr. Diamond unless there's going to be more than $100. How much, roughly?
Oh, I'd say $250.
I said roughly, not brutally.
Anyway, why are you calling me up, Diamond? Didn't your guy tell you?
My guy?
Yeah, the big boy you sent over to get your stuff out of the car.
Wait a minute. Did he say I sent him...
Hang
up,
Diamond.
Stop talking and hang up. Have a chair, friend. Be with you in a moment. Larson,
Was this guy of mine a thick-set, moronic-looking oaf with a greasy hat and a broken nose?
The next one is through your ears, Diamond. Hang up!
I'll talk to you later, Larson. I just heard a report that requires my attention. Do you realize, friend, that you made a big hole in my wastebasket? Now, suppose I wanted to fill it with water to wash my hair. How could I...
Where is it? I said, where is it? Talk!
You told me to shut up. You can't have it both ways. Friend, I've had a bad morning. My car is smashed up, and my feet are wet, and things look bad in Egypt. As the old song says, I love a charade, but not this much.
Don't play cozy. The stuff in your car.
Oh. Well, now, let me think. There was a box of cleansing tissues in the glove compartment, some golf clubs in the trunk, probably some hairpins down behind the seat. I've told that girl 100 times.
After the wreck. Everybody was throwing stuff back in the car. We want the brown envelope.
Brown envelope? Friend, I never saw it.
No.
Scout's honor. See, I'll cross my hide
Keep your hands down.
Homicide, Lieutenant Levinson speaking.
Rick Walt, get over here right away.
I'm busy.
You better get over here. I've done it again. There's a dead man in my office.
What?
Just get over here and bring me a new wastebasket.
Yeah, I know him. Paul Scannell, hoodlum, third class. Car stripper, nightclub bouncer, Central Park mugger, and manic depressive about town. Last arrest 2 years ago. They didn't want him for anything right now.
You could have had him for assaulting wastebaskets. Who was he with?
I don't know. He's been out of circulation. What makes you think he was with anybody?
Plural, personal pronoun. He said, we want the envelope.
You and your education. You hadn't been a little faster than he was, you'd be getting your doctor's degree right now. Incidentally, were you expecting something?
Only the usual things, death and taxes. 2 men with whiskers. Why?
Wearing your clavicle gun in the office, out of character. Comfort-loving type.
A shrewd observation, Walter. And it was. Normally, I'd have shucked the gun the minute I got in the office. When my car got hit, the pistol was knocked out of the clip under the dash, so I stuck it in my shoulder holster. There were 6 police officers and 1,300 helpful citizens on the scene, and I didn't want to linger for extra questions. I told Walt about Scannell going through my car at Larson's garage. He looked thoughtful, and when Walt looks thoughtful, he's thinking. The police force could use a lot of Levinsons.
Brown envelope with murder in it. Rick, there's more of this than a traffic brawl. What did you bring here from the scene?
Just my wet feet and my briefcase. The one I always carry to make me look businesslike.
You couldn't look businesslike if you carried a cash register. Look, let's reconstruct a little. Take it from the crash.
Okay. Slippery streets. A gray coupe with Connecticut plates came barreling through the stoplight. I tried to get over, but there was a curbstone and a 30-story office building in the way. Remind me to write my congressman about the real estate lobby.
Mention my name, you'll get a nasty answer. Go on, will you?
Well, we smacked. You mean you didn't hear it? Only 24 blocks away?
Oh, sure, but I thought it was just another atom bomb.
Well, 4 doors flew open, 2 on my car, 2 on the gray coupe, stuff all over the street. Papers, spare parts, broken glass, my bridge work, the usual debris. While the other driver and I were exchanging information and insults, a few warm-hearted bystanders, seeing there's nothing worth stealing, threw the stuff back into the cars. Mine was hauled away to the garage.
How about the other fellas?
The other fellow was a girl. Well, you may say so, officer. Platter of goodies. Friendly, too, in a nervous sort of way.
You'll get a name and address?
Certainly. You think I'm an idiot?
I can't answer that without breaking up a beautiful friendship. Where's the data?
The stuff is in my briefcase.
Where's the briefcase?
In my desk. And don't ask me where the desk is. You're sitting on it. Here.
Give me.
Take.
What a mess. Reminds me of my wife's handbag.
I would know. I've never been in your wife's handbag.
Mr. Diamond, this is business. Shall we examine the contents of the briefcase?
Pray do.
Thank you. Item. Paperback book. A weekend painter. Planning on painting a weekend?
Man's entitled to a hobby if he ever gets time for it, which he doesn't.
Item.
Notebook, black.
Keep out of that.
Killjoy. Item, book of matches, no printing. Item, clip of cartridges. Item, card notifying a dental appointment this morning.
Couldn't make it. Have to cross that bridge work when I find it.
Yeah. Well, that's all there is. No brown envelope.
No, I wouldn't have a brown envelope. Never use that color. It makes me look sallow.
You're not much help.
Well, do something, Fatty. Something. Why don't you just send all my envelopes to the lab and get the glue analyzed? I had a horse last week that dropped dead in the far turn, and Diamond Detective Agency, detecting done by day or night and holidays, if the fee is right.
Diamond, this is Sergeant Fraser. Is Lieutenant Levinson there?
Yeah, he's here in a briefcase. For you all.
Thanks. Levinson.
Fraser here.
No, hi.
That express company robbery that happened this morning, we picked up the getaway car. Thought you want to know right away.
Yeah, thanks, Sergeant. Car abandoned?
Yeah, it seemed to be pretty smashed up, too. Front end all banged in. Gray coupe with Connecticut plates.
Okay, hold it for a route. Wait a minute. Gray coupe... Rick, that car you banged into this morning, gray coupe, Connecticut plates?
That's right. Why?
Tell you in a minute. Sergeant.
Yeah?
Get with the traffic bureau. I want everything on a collision at Madison and 43rd. Everything, including a weather report.
Rain, followed by Saturday and Sunday.
And Fraser.
Yes, sir.
The driver of the car. Get out a warrant for... Rick, what did the driver give her name as?
Markham. Dora Markham, housewife.
Dora Markham, Sergeant. Probably phony, but make it out anyway. I'll be back at the office soon. Rick, this accident of yours is something big.
You should see my repair bill.
Shut up and listen, will you? This is serious. Early this morning, the Huxley Express Company was robbed of $600,000.
Wow.
Yeah, now get this. The car you smashed into was the getaway car. Whoever this dame is who was driving, she's tied in somehow with the gang who pulled the job.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fatty, this is all very enlightening, but go a little farther. Why did this Scannell guy come here looking for a brown envelope?
I don't know. I'm going back to the precinct. This is the first break we've had on this case. And you better keep your eyes open and that gun in your shoulder holster.
Can't. Crushes my camels every time I stoop over.
Oh, Rick, for the last time, this is no joking matter. For some reason, that gang thinks you have a brown envelope. That envelope means enough to them to kill for it. Ricky, my boy, up to now, you've been shot with luck. Don't crowd it.
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment. Here's the one sensible test of cigarette mildness. Smoke only Camels for 30 days. Pack after pack, you'll enjoy the full, rich flavor that's found only in Camels. And through steady smoking, the only sensible way to judge a cigarette. You'll see for yourself how mild Camels are, how well Camels agree with your throat. In a test supervised by noted throat specialists, hundreds of men and women from coast to coast smoked only Camels for 30 days. The throat specialists made more than 2,000 careful weekly examinations of the throats of these smokers, and they reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. That's conclusive proof of Camel's mildness. Start tonight to make your own Camel 30-day mildness test. Make Camels your steady smoke, and you'll discover just why Camel is America's most popular cigarette by billions.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Smoke Camels and see.
And now, back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Up until now, as the man said, I had been shot and shot at with luck. I was in the middle of something, but didn't know what. After Levinson left, I sat and stared out the window. It didn't work any harder than that until the phone rang. Diamond Detective Agency. We try to please... Hello? 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 Oh, well, maybe it was the wrong number. Or maybe it was somebody wanting to be sure I was here. I felt like a new clay pipe in a shooting gallery waiting for the sailors on Saturday night. It was a nice little office, but I suddenly didn't like it. I thought I'd go ask Helen about the piano tuner. I liked that idea. So I got up, packed my briefcase, shoved my stuff back in it, And as I zipped it shut, my hand felt a piece of paper stuck underneath it. It was the brown envelope. I got to work on it, and inside was a baggage check, and written on the back of it were 2 words, Blue Duck. I was just getting...
Don't bother, Mr. Diamond. Just give it to me.
Well, hello, Dora Markham, housewife.
I'm not as stupid as Paul Scannell, Mr. Diamond. Also, I'm a better shot.
Well, he wasn't too bad. Got my wastebasket right between
You talk too much. Get up, turn around, and take off your coat.
Oh, do I have to? It's so pretty. My shirt's wrinkled on account of the rain. And
Take it off, or the coroner will cut it off.
Oh, I should have sent you in the first place, Dora. You're much more convincing. Okay, it's off. Look, you're a housewife. There's a button loose on the left sleeve, and
The trousers? Off.
Oh, now, Dora.
The door is closed, and there's a silencer on this gun. I'd love to silence a noisy detective who tried to move in on a... Off, Diamond.
Yes, ma'am. Gypsy Rose Diamond. A pretty girl is like a melody.
How have you ever lived this long?
Fresh air, hard work, and green vegetables. Let me show you my diet list. I have it right
Stay
here.
away from that desk. Now, hand me your coat and trousers. Thank you. Turn around. Walk to the wall with your hands up. Up high. At the next tone signal, Diamond, your phone is being disconnected.
Oh, Dora, you're wonderful. I could go for a strong girl like you, and I would, too, if you didn't have that... Well, you could have said goodbye. Richard Diamond, detective, with no pants. A private eye welcoming his privacy. I looked for the brown envelope. Gone with my wardrobe. I looked at the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell couldn't have fixed it with Don Amici handing in the pliers. I peered out into the corridor. No one in sight. Not even an insurance agent or a typewriter salesman. This alone was making history. I wondered if I could trot through the streets to the 5th Precinct pretending to be a cross-country runner. No. Not in blue silk shorts. I sat down and waited. And waited. And waited. I tried telepathy. Helen, I thought, come and get me and bring me a pair of trousers. Helen, I concentrated. It's Rick. The rain must have done something to Helen's antenna, so I concentrated on Walt. Walt, I thought. And Walt walked in. Well, you're a more sensitive type than I thought, Walt. Did you bring me some trousers?
Some trousers? What's coming off here?
The straight line was too easy, so I passed it up. I told Walt about Dora the housewife and the brown envelope and the baggage check inside it.
Anything else?
Yeah, 2 words written on the back of the check. Said, Blue Duck. About that time, Dora interrupted me with her old clothes campaign.
Blue Duck. Never heard that before. Blue Duck.
Well, there used to be a Blue Duck nightclub in the West 20s. A real hog-wallow. Closed up a year ago for selling to minors. Keep talking. All right. But I'll be ad-libbing in a minute. The only thing I know about it is that it was run by Sis Madsen and her husband. There's quite a joint there. Hey. Yeah? Sis Madsen. That's Dora Markham, housewife with a lemon rent and a new name.
This begins to add up. That guy you killed in your office used to work for Sis Madsen. There were 3 people spotted in that Huxley Express robbery. Dave and 2 guys.
Oh, could have been Sis Madsen, her husband, and Scannell.
This is very interesting.
I'll tell you something else very interesting.
What?
I'm freezing. Or is that only interesting to me?
Wait a minute. Fraser. Yes, sir. There's a cleaning and pressing shop halfway up the block. Go see if Mr. Diamond's coat and pants are there.
Gray tweed, name in the inside pocket. Get with it, son.
Fitting shop, Diamond's coat and pants. Yes, sir.
How did you know, Fatty?
Oh, sheer genius. Besides, it's logical. I don't think she'd want to haul them all over town or be seen stuffing them into a garbage can.
Why not? That's where I got them.
Blue Duck. I hope you're sure that's what you read on the back of that check.
I'm sure, but it's been closed for years.
Well, we're going down there and open it up.
No.
No what?
No pants.
Don't be so modest.
I'm not modest. I'm cold.
Stand over there. That's it. Come in.
Hey, watch it, Lieutenant. It's just me.
Okay, Fraser. Got Mr. Diamond's clothes?
Yes, sir. All pressed nice, too. Another 10 minutes, the guy would have brought him up here himself.
Really?
Yeah. The lady said her father was waiting for him.
Her father? Walt, give me a gun. This gang will stoop to anything. 10 minutes later, we were on our way to an ex-nightclub, the Blue Duck. I sat in front of Levinson's car, trying not to wrinkle my well-pressed trousers. We pulled up half a block from the one-time nightclub.
Where are all the cars? I thought this would be a bigger party. This place isn't a Blue Duck, it's a Dead Duck.
Maybe it's a bigger party than it looks.
Where are you looking?
For a bright cop, Fatty, you're a little dull. But everything points to this little disco, so we'll just...
I know. Take a gander at the duck. Gander at the duck.
I heard it the first time. Tell me, Walt, this $600,000, is there a reward?
A reward? Why, you...
Keep your voice down, officer, while you tell me who put you on at the Blue Duck and Sis Matson. Who got shot at, stripped, humiliated, wrecked? Who'd split 50-50 with the police pension fund?
You should have brought your briefcase. You are a businessman. Come on. I don't think this joint was ever alive.
Maybe they went to a movie. After all, a housewife is entitled to a little recreation, and I don't...
No way. This place has been closed for years. Nobody here.
We want to look around a little.
There ain't nobody here, I told you.
We'll come in anyway.
Walt, get the old guy to turn on some lights.
Ain't no lights.
Must be some lights, Pop. How do you get your reading done?
I spend my time minding my own business, Sonny. Not a bad idea for you either.
You don't mean you think I'm Snoopy?
Nothing to see here. Now get out.
We're police officers, Pop. Now find the lights and stop talking so much.
What do you want anyway?
Lights. Didn't you hear what the man said?
All right. Here's the switch.
The place looks like it was never open.
What'd you expect, dancing girls?
You're pretty fresh, you know it. I got half a mind to run you in.
Oh, hold it, Walt. You don't want him.
You said it.
Who pays you, Pop?
I don't know. They mail it to me.
Yeah, sure. What's under those stairs?
Tables and chairs.
What's on the second floor?
Nothing. Used to be the office.
Well, I'd like to take a look at it. Come on, Walt.
Okay. Come on, Pop.
I'll stay here.
You'll come with us.
It's bad for my heart climbing up and down stairs.
You don't think maybe there's somebody in the office, do you, Pop?
The place is empty, I tell you.
Come on. Keep up with us, Pop. Are you scared of your heart?
No.
Scared of anything else?
No.
Well, I am. Hold it.
What, Walt?
I heard something.
Rats.
Maybe. Walt, get out. Rats, huh? Yeah, I guess that fits.
Who's upstairs, Pop?
I don't know. I told you.
If you're going to get him, whoever it is, you might as well start talking.
I don't want no trouble.
Now, look, you...
Walt, start firing up toward that landing. Keep him busy. I'll try to get beside the staircase.
Yeah.
For Pete's sake, shoot high.
You figure it's Sis Matson and her husband?
Yeah. Now start firing. High toward the landing. I started crawling under Walt's fire toward the stairs. I was getting soaked. First, this Sis Matson steals my pants, and now she makes me muss them up. 15 snail crawls later, I was beside the staircase and had a good view of the landing. I could see the man who must be Sis's husband crouched down and firing toward Walt. I raised up. Matson, drop it. Okay, pal.
Oh. Good shot, Rick.
Yeah, but not good enough.
All right, Matson, stop shooting. Drop the gun. You've had it.
Come on down here. That's a good boy. Now, where's your wife, Matson?
Who?
Sis Matson.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Your wife, Matson. Come on, don't stall.
Look, you hit me. Get me to a hospital. I'm hurt bad.
Did you hear him say anything, Walt?
Yeah, but I can't make it out.
Look, you guys, this ain't legal. You got to get me to a doc.
Might be able to understand him if you talked about Sis, though.
Yeah, what about it, Matson?
Look, I don't know. Get me to a doc. I'll talk later.
You'll talk now. You'll lay right there until you do.
Well, like the car pulled up outside. See the lights through the window?
Yeah. Quiet.
Sis, get out!
What?
Hold it, honey. Cover, Walt.
What is it?
Diamond's the name, sis. Or maybe you don't recognize me with my pants on.
Rico, what have you done to him?
Only a flesh wound, but he thinks he's bleeding to death.
Ah, nice suitcase you got there, sis. And it was. When I opened it, I half expected to find a collection of men's trousers. But instead, I found stacks of my favorite color, green. You know, most ducks have only one bill. But lying on the floor of the blue duck in the suitcase were 600,000 of them. It had been a colorful day. Gray weather, brown envelopes, blue ducks, and green money.
Yes?
Yes, Ellen?
There wasn't any piano tuner here.
Oh, that's too bad.
Too bad.
Mm-hmm. Listen to middle C. Off a full 30 seconds.
I'll call a tuner tomorrow.
I'll call one. I know a dandy. 73 years old. Tuned pianos for Caruso.
Caruso. Who?
Now, easy. You'll hurt Lanza's feelings. When you are in love, it's the loveliest night of the year.
Tonight?
Stars twinkle above, and you almost can touch them from here.
Yeah, long arms.
You're reaching. Words fall into rhyme anytime you are holding me near. When you are in love, it's the loveliest night of the year. Let's dance. Waltzing along in a blue, like a breeze drifting over the sand. Thrilled by the wonder of you and the wonderful touch of your hand. And my heart starts to beat like a child when a birthday is near. So kiss me, my sweet.
Is that an invitation?
Oh, it's the loveliest night of the year. Like it?
Yeah.
What are you staring at?
You? Flattering to me when you show up with your clothes so well pressed. I think I'll kiss you.
Well, goody.
You need a woman like me, Rick?
There is no woman like you, Helen.
I know it. But you better grab me while I'm available.
Dick Powell will return in just a minute. Here's a wonderful Christmas shopping tip. Give cartons of Camels as Christmas gifts. Camel makes it easy for you with a special Christmas gift carton. It's beautifully designed in holiday colors and has a built-in greeting card right on top of the carton. Be sure to give plenty of Camels this Christmas. It's America's most popular cigarette by billions.
How mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Smoke Camel can see.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, every week the makers of Camel cigarettes send thousands of packs of Camels to military hospitals and veterans. That's to help show hospitalized men and women of the armed forces that folks at home haven't forgotten them. This week, the free packs of Camels go to Veterans Hospitals, Marion, Indiana, and Sheridan, Wyoming, U.S. Army Station Hospital, Camp Gordon, Georgia, and U.S. Naval Hospital ship Repose. Now into next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Dick Powell can now be seen starring in the Universal International film You Never Can Tell. Tonight's transcribed adventure of Richard Diamond was written by Dick Quentin, with music by Frank Worth. Our director was Nat Wolfe. Virginia Gregg played the part of Helen Asher, and Alan Reed was Lieutenant Levinson. Others in the cast were Kay Stewart, Herb Butterfield, Herb Ellis, and Bob O'Connor.
The fight is out and the pleasure's in when you smoke Prince Albert, especially sweet as not to bite your tongue. To bite his house and the pleasure's in.
That's why pipe smokers will be delighted with Prince Albert for Christmas. The big 1-pound tin of Prince Albert comes in a gaily designed holiday package that needs no wrapping. Just write your greeting on the built-in card and present Prince Albert to delighted pipe smokers. Listen next week for another exciting adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is the American Broadcasting Company.
This I believe. Uta Hagen is one of the leading actresses of the American theater. She has made personal triumphs in such plays as Shaw's St. Joan and Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire. Her role in Clifford Odets' The Country Girl brought her every theatrical honor available, including the Antoinette Perry Award and the citation of the drama critics for the Best Actress of 1950 and 1951. Here is the creed of Uta Hagen.
I know that in an accidental sort of way, struggling through the unreal part of life, I haven't always been able to live up to my ideal. But in my own real world, I've never done anything wrong, never denied my faith, never been untrue to myself. I've been threatened and blackmailed and insulted and starved. But I've played the game. I've fought the good fight. And now it's all over, there's an indescribable peace. I believe in Michelangelo, Velasquez, and Rembrandt, in the might of design, the mystery of color, the redemption of all things by beauty everlasting, and the message of art that has made these hands blessed. Amen. Amen. These words were given to the dying painter Louis Dubedat in George Bernard Shaw's The Doctor's Dilemma. It is the credo of an artist, a specific human being, and only a part of the author's credo whose beliefs are summed up in the entirety of his work. Not being a writer, a prophet, or a philosopher, but an actress, I must again employ the help of a playwright to paraphrase my faith. I believe in the ancient Greeks who initiated our theater 2,500 years ago, in the miracle of Eleonora Duse' gifts, in the might of truth, the mystery of emotions, the redemption of all things by imagination everlasting, and the message of art that should make the untiring work and striving the inspiration and creation of all actors blessed. Amen. Amen. In the other part of my life, I feel guilty about living up to my ideal, but not so much as poor Louis Dubedat, and of course not for the same reasons. I have in my life to guide me the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and above all the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in them to the letter, to the dismay of some. I too can get strength from Michelangelo and Rembrandt, and Bach and Mozart, and Shaw and Shakespeare and Plato and Aristotle. These great makers and shakers have helped me, do help me to find reason, majesty, and greatness in this world. They have helped me to drown out the frenetic racket made by the compromisers who try to bend ideals to fit their practical needs and personal appetites and to deprive us of our spiritual salvation. The knowledge that every day there is something more to learn, something higher to reach for, something new to make for others, makes each day infinitely precious, and I am grateful. One thing makes for another. Shaw wouldn't be without Shakespeare, Bach without the words of Christ, Beethoven without Mozart, and we would be barren without all of them. I was proud the day I first learned to make a good loaf of bread, to have learned a simple thing which others could enjoy, or to plant a bulb in the ground and tend it and help it grow, or to give birth to a child and help her reach her own individual freedom, or to make a character in a play come off the printed page and become a human being with a point of view who can help others to understand a little more. All these things, and the effort to do them well, make it possible for me, while struggling through the unreal part of life and being threatened, blackmailed, insulted, and starved, to be true to myself and to fight the good fight.
Those were the beliefs of actress Uta Hagen, who was born in Germany, the daughter of a college professor. She now lives in New York City.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
The ugliest word known to a district attorney is blackmail. An evil in itself, it can also breed other and more violent crimes. It frequently ends in murder. Take the case of Larry Cashman, a used car dealer. It was a Saturday night, late. He was at his lot in a small office, waiting for somebody, not a customer.
Hi, Mr. Cashman. Glad to see you waited for me.
Never mind the friendly greeting, Stryker. What do you want this time?
I'm kind of short of folding money. Thought you might be a pal. Help me out again.
You know what this is, don't you, Stryker? The Lord called it a shakedown. I gave you $100 2 weeks ago and another $100 a month before that.
Does money last forever? I need more.
You're not getting more. Not from me.
Well, it's too bad. I'm sorry you feel that way, Mr. Cashman. I thought you were a nice guy, the kind of a guy I'd like to see raise my baby. As long as I can't raise her myself.
You leave the baby out of this.
No, you can't expect me to forget about her, Mr. Cashman. After all, she's my own flesh and blood.
She belongs to me and my wife, legally, by adoption.
You keep forgetting one important thing. I never signed no papers letting you adopt her.
Your wife said you were dead.
She thought I was dead, maybe. But my being here proves I ain't. And if we ever have to take this into court, Mr. Cashman, I'm little Ann's natural father. I got my rights.
How much?
Oh, I guess 100 will see me through again.
I'll give you 500.
Well, now that's better.
Now, let me finish. I'll give you 500 if you go to my lawyer and sign a paper waiving all rights to the baby.
Do you think I'm crazy? Oh, no. No, I like our arrangement fine. From now on, I'll be around every Saturday night to pick up my $100. I'll take tonight's payment now.
All right, Stryker. There's your 100. And it's the last you're getting.
So this is your parting gift to me, huh? Not much, considering the size of the roll you peeled it off of. All right. I'll leave you alone. I'll take my payment in full right now. Dig that roll out again and toss it on the desk.
I see. Now it's a gun, huh?
You see it, and I know how to use it.
I'm not going to give you another dime, Stryker. All you're going to get is what you deserve.
Put that down.
I'm calling the police. You ain't calling anybody. Maybe I'm stronger than you think.
You ain't stronger than this. Maybe you should have confided in your wife, Mr. Cashman. But you're the only one who knows about me. And you ain't ever going to tell anyone else. Thanks for the final payment.
Chief. Sorry to get you out of bed.
Well, that's what the county pays us for, Harrington. Lab crew's already been here, huh?
Yeah. How'd you know?
The fingerprint boys left some dusting powder on the desk there.
No. Well, the prints aren't going to be much good, though, I'm afraid. Too many people coming out of a place like this, signing papers on the desk.
What time was this discovered?
About 11:30. Cashman's wife had spoken to him on the phone just after 10. Said he was coming right home. When he didn't, she called back a couple of times and got a busy signal. Finally, she called the operator. The phone's off the hook, see?
Uh-huh.
When the operator told her the line was dead, she called the police.
Oh, what's that?
What? Oh, that yellow spot on the floor?
Yes.
Well, the lab boy said it was some kind of chalk somebody stepped on. They scraped a little of it up and took it in for analysis.
Cashman used chalk to mark prices on his cars?
Cardboard cutouts.
Floor is pretty clean otherwise. Newspaper basket empty. This place must have been swept out after the day's business. That chalk was ground in there after the place was cleaned.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Cashman usually carry a lot of money on him?
Have to in the used car business, Chief. People selling in a hurry need a fast dollar.
You find any money on the body?
Only 86 cents and change.
Somebody needed a fast dollar, all right.
Robbery motive, no doubt about it. You want to go to Cashman's home? Have a talk with his wife?
No. Let her wait until morning. She'll be in no condition to talk now. You have the car with him?
No, I came over in a cab when I got the call.
Good. You can ride back to the office with me.
Newspaper photographers and reporters over there, Chief. I've been holding them off.
They can go in, as long as the lab crew's finished.
All right, Pete, you can let them go in now.
Okay.
No, fellas. No statement from Mr. Garrett until tomorrow. Check with the office later. Let's get out of here before they mob you.
I phoned Miss Miller before I left home. She'll be at the office.
2 and what? At 2 a.m.?
Finding out all we can about Larry Cashman. Wife, family, known associates, the usual. The more you know about a dead man, the better chance you have to find out who killed him.
Here's the Cashman report, Mr. Garrett.
Thanks, Miss Miller. How does it look?
Mostly vital statistics, I'm afraid. Cashman was 55 years old. Mrs. Cashman in her late 40s, no relatives, except a 2-year-old baby.
2-year-old baby?
Yeah? Oh, see what you mean. The child's adopted.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of old to have a baby that young.
Was the adoption legal?
Yes, sir. Copy of the court record attached. They'd never had a child of their own. A couple of years ago, they took in a girl whose husband had been killed in an accident. When the mother got sick and knew she was dying, she agreed to let the Cashmans adopt the baby.
Get that, will you, Miss Miller?
Yes, sir. District Attorney's office. Oh, yes, Pete. Fine, I'll tell him. Thanks. Pete from the lab. They did an analysis on that yellow chalk from the floor of the shack on Cashman's car lot.
Anything special about it?
Yes, Pete says it wasn't ordinary chalk. It's the type that surveyors use for marking.
Surveyors, huh?
That's what he said.
That might help us, Chief.
Well, not unless we can find out where it ties in. What time is it?
Almost 8 a.m.
Well, I think we can go see Mrs. Cashman now.
I have to get the baby's cereal ready. She'll be waking up soon.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Cashman. We don't like to ask you questions at a time like this, but it's necessary.
Oh, about that yellow chalk, Mrs. Cashman.
No. Larry never used chalk. I never saw any of it, here or at the lot.
And he had no friends or acquaintances in the surveying business. Somebody he might have sold a car to or a truck.
No.
Aside from the money he carried, can you think of any reason for anybody wanting to harm him?
No. There was never anybody who didn't like Larry. What am I going to say to the baby when she asks for him? How can I tell her he won't ever come home to play with her again? Would you answer that for me, please? I don't want to talk to anybody. Now?
Yeah, it might be for us anyhow, Chief.
Go ahead.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, this is Harrington. No, go ahead. I'll write it down.
We were going on a picnic today.
Yeah.
Last night I made the sandwiches and everything.
Yeah, I know.
We were going to leave right after church.
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong when he didn't come home.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Try not to think about it, Mrs. Cashman.
Oh, what else can I think about? All week long.
Yeah. Well,
Larry was teaching Anne how to say picnic. She was just learning to pronounce it. And... No.
You must get a grip on yourself. For the baby's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I know.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we'll be in soon. They need us back at headquarters, Chief.
All right. Well, you shouldn't be here alone, Mrs. Cashman. Especially when the baby wakes up.
I called a nursing service just before you came. They're sending somebody over.
Well, that's good. Goodbye, Mrs. Cashman.
Goodbye, ma'am. Keep your chin up.
I'll try.
I wanted to rush back to the office, Harrington.
That cleaning man you wanted to question. Guy that cleaned up Cashman's lot and office.
Yeah?
His name is Doty Smith. Boys from the Central Division just brought him in and booked him.
Booked him? I just wanted him for questioning. Why did they book him?
He looked like the one, Chief.
Well, why?
Well, he told them he cleaned the office last night at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Cashman usually closed before then, but Smith admits he was still there.
Nothing necessarily wrong with that?
No, but the boys found out that Smith was on the town last night. Threw a big party and threw a lot of money around. Still had a few hundred on him when he was picked up.
Come on, he's going to be worth talking to. This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of death by adoption, here is an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A used car dealer had been murdered and robbed. The only clue was a piece of surveyor's chalk ground into the floor at the scene of the crime. But other things seemed to point to a cleaning man named Doty Smith. If Smith was innocent, he didn't look it as we questioned him at the county jail. I began to forget about the surveyor's chalk.
Come on, Smith. Where were you last night?
I told you I was at a party at my own house.
Oh, we know about that. But where were you before the party?
Working for Cashman at the used car lot.
What time did your party start?
After 10 o'clock. And later we left the house and went to a few other places.
What places?
Oh, dance halls, clubs, places like that.
With you picking up all the checks. Well, is that right or isn't it?
Who else? It was my party, wasn't it?
What time did you leave Cashman's lot last night?
I worked until 9, a little after maybe.
Was Cashman all right when you left the lot?
No, he wasn't. Cashman was a good man to work for most times, but... Well, last night somebody called him on the phone. He didn't say much to whoever it was, but he slammed the phone down real mad and yelled at me to hurry up and finish with the cleaning.
All right, never mind the life story. Where did you get the money? Now, you better spill it, Smith. Cashman was robbed, and you had almost $300 on you this morning when you were picked up.
It was my own money.
You never made that kind of money cleaning up around a used car lot.
3 days ago, you were broke. You borrowed $2 from Cashman's mechanic.
You'd better account for that money, Smith.
What if I tell you I'll get in trouble?
If you don't tell me, you'll go on trial for murder. That can be trouble, too.
I sold a diamond ring.
Where would you get a diamond ring?
I found it.
Just picked it up on the street, huh?
No. Cashman had an out-of-state car on the lot, the big black limousine.
The one on the front corner of the lot, up on the platform?
That's the one. He took it in on a trade 2 days ago. I wax all the cars as they come in, clean out the inside. I found a ring under the back seat. Must have got lost, slipped down there.
Who did you sell it to?
A guy named Portman at the Jewelers Exchange. He can tell you.
I hope so. Open up, Fogarty. We're coming out. He can make one phone call for legal counsel if he wants.
I better check the jeweler's exchange.
Yeah, but if he's telling the truth, we're still short a murderer. He wouldn't be killing Cashman for money. Not while he was riding high with the money from that ring.
Well, that means we got to start over again. Well, nothing.
No, it means we have to start over again from that spot of surveyor's chalk.
Here are the teletypes from the State Department of Highways, Mr. Garrett.
Thanks. It doesn't look like a very lengthy report.
It isn't. They're checking other state agencies, though, to see if any of them have surveying crews in the field.
Well, they better come up with something, or I'm... Hello, Harrington.
Hi. Portman finally broke down.
You buy the ring from Smith?
Yep.
You book him?
Yep. Receiving stolen property. That's the end of his license.
And it should be. Good jewelers don't buy without asking questions.
Well, that's the state capital teletype now, Mr. Garrett.
You better get it.
You having any luck here?
Yes, but it's all bad. Only one crew. Perfect alibis for all of them.
Lots of surveyors in the state. Wouldn't have to be one who was working.
Well, no, but a working one would be more likely to be carrying a piece of chalk on him.
I carry my gun when I'm off duty.
That's because the law says you must. You better check up on your regulations. You're never off duty.
You're telling me. I think an 80-hour week is a vacation. Now, if I ever decide...
Mr. Garrett,
What?
one other state crew out, Department of Water and Power.
They checking on them?
Well, it's going to take a long time.
Why?
They're mapping the route for a new viaduct.
Oh, great. I read about that. They're way up in the mountains, Chief, 100 miles from nowhere.
Well, there must be roads.
Not until they get that thing laid out and push bulldozers through. Only roads they've been able to use since the rainy season are old back trails. They need trucks with four-wheel drive to get in and out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Miss Miller.
Yes, sir?
Call the police motor pool. Tell them I want to borrow a car.
What kind?
Anything they've got with a four-wheel drive.
Brother, I'd be more comfortable inside a cement mixer.
We must be getting closer to their camp.
Yeah? When we get there, they got a permanent border until a nice, smooth road comes through here.
Oh, there's the camp. And that grove of trees to the right.
No cars or trucks. Half the tent's down.
We must be breaking camp. Move further in. Jeep over there. The pack rolls on the back. Must be somebody here yet. Hello. Anybody here?
You! Over this way! And taking a field stove will park there, Chief.
Yeah, come on. Thought for a minute we got here too late.
Almost did. We moved in another couple of miles. We're just hauling some stuff onto the new camp.
You the crew foreman?
Yep. Jim Tracy's the name.
I'm Paul Garrett. This is my assistant, Harrington.
Hi.
Garrett? That's familiar. District attorney, aren't you?
Oh, that's right. How long you fellas been working through here?
Ooh, about 8 weeks now.
5 days a week?
No, 5.5. Half days Saturdays.
Any of your men go into the city on weekends?
Once in a while.
How about last weekend? Any of them go into town then?
Last weekend, yeah. 4 of them went in. Phillips, Stryker, Martin, and Canning. Hey, that's Stryker now, coming back with a truck to help me haul some of this stuff.
Must be a nut to jockey the thing on this kind of road and then do it weekends just to spend a night in town.
I know just how you feel. Hey, these fellas want to talk to you, Bill.
Me? What about?
About being in town last weekend. This is Mr. Garrett, the district attorney. Bill Stryker, Mr. Garrett.
Hello, Stryker.
Hi. What do you want to know?
Just like you to account for your time Saturday night, that's all.
Well, we just fooled around in town, that's all. Me and 3 other guys in the crew.
You didn't do any shopping?
Well, what could we buy that we'd bring back here?
Thought maybe one of you might have been saving some money. Maybe enough to make a deal for a used car.
We, rode a bus both ways after we got the truck to the main highway.
I see. Well, thanks. That's all we wanted to know.
What's it all about?
Well, nothing important. Just routine. Thanks. Come on, Harrington.
Nothing important. You mean we ride all the way up here just for that?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Hop in.
You're not even going to talk to the other 3 guys that was with that one?
Wouldn't do any good.
All this riding for nothing.
Sorry, Harrington. That's life. If we only knew who made that phone call to Cashman Saturday night. Oh, Dodie Smith said he was so upset about it.
Yeah.
When we get back to the city, I want to see Mrs. Cashman again.
Oh, when we get back to the city. If we get back to the city.
No, Mr. Garrett, I didn't know anybody had called my husband Saturday night before I did. I just knew he was upset, that's all.
Anything like that ever happened before? His being upset, I mean. Coming home much later than usual.
Yes, it did. 2 other times. The first time, more than a month ago. And then again 2 weeks ago.
Those other times, can you remember if they were Saturday nights, too?
Yes. Yes, they were. But I don't know why. I don't know what was bothering him.
Did he ever express any concern that somebody might harm the baby or try to take her away from you?
No. Who could take her from us? Both of Anne's parents are dead. Her mother agreed to the adoption before she passed on.
Did you ever see or know the child's father?
No. He died before Anne was born. He was killed in an accident.
Are you sure of that?
Anne's mother said so. She wouldn't have lied. It's all here in this paper she signed for us before she died. See, she signed it right here. Dorothy Stryker.
Stryker? Why, Chief, that's not...
I know. What was Stryker's first name, Mrs. Cashman? Was it Bill or William?
No. She said it was Arthur Stryker. Why? What is it?
I think I know who killed your husband now. And I'm beginning to have an idea why. You'll hear from us. Come on, Harrington. You know where we're going.
Yeah, but this time I'm not going to mind that ride. This time I know why we're taking it. This must be the foreman's tent.
Yeah. Let's go in. Tracy.
What the devil?
Quiet. Quiet. It's me again. Garrett.
Oh, you scared me. What'd you come back for?
Where is Stryker sleeping?
He did something, huh?
What makes you think so?
Well, I thought he acted nervous after you left. He didn't eat much tonight. Just before I turned in, I saw him take his bedroll out of his tent. He's sleeping in the bed of one of the trucks.
That's all we want to know.
You better be careful. He's got a gun. I saw it once.
No, we know about it. You just stay right here until we take him.
Don't worry. I'm a surveyor, not a hero.
They're the trucks.
Yeah. If you can get the cuffs on him before he wakes up.
Nothing in this one.
Must be in the other one, then.
Funny, Chief. He's not in this one either, only... There he is.
Where?
Right over there by the Jeep.
Stop, Stryker!
He's got to come this way between the rock ledges.
Look out, Harrington! Oh. Stop, Chief!
Harrington, you hit him. No, it's all right. How about Stryker?
You hit him. He drove into a ledge. He's pinned pretty badly.
Pretty bad.
Don't want to die. Don't let me die.
You better build a litter and get him out of here fast.
Right. Better make that 2 liters, Tracy.
I'm all right.
It's going to be a long, hard ride out, Harrington.
Like you said, Chief, never off duty. This is one vacation you're not going to cut short on me.
I promise you I won't, Harrington. I promise you. This is David Bryan. I hope you enjoyed this case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here's the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
William Stryker lived long enough to confess his masquerade as the father of his dead brother's child in the murder of Larry Cashman. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the nearest hospital. Harrington underwent surgery for the removal of 2 bullets. He reported back for duty 6 weeks later. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord.